This episode of the Co-optional Podcast is proudly sponsored by Squarespace. Whether you need a domain name, website, or online store, make your next move with squarespace.com/cooptional. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Where's the unmute button? Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast.
Welcome.
Hi,
Welcome.
welcome.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome.
Hey,
Welcome.
Yes, Count?
To the castle of counting.
How
Hey,
many
welcome.
guests do we have? One, two.
Five guests. You
have to count up to that. You have to get to the five
This castle
guests.
sure is full of counts, and yet, despite the number of counts, we're not very good at counting.
I think this is going seamlessly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Crendor
I
can be our
can't
Elmo.
imagine why
Yeah,
we
I'll be
haven't
Elmo.
done all of these 5 guest podcasts very often. Like, that sounds like a great idea.
I think so.
I think it's a great idea.
So
I
far,
mean,
so
I'm not
good.
really.
Not so far.
I'm like a half guest, half host at this point. Half virus.
That's true. Truer words have never been said.
This is like my 25th appearance or something.
Jesus
I'm like
Christ.
making my anniversary.
What
I
is
know.
the 25th anniversary?
He keeps count.
Iron.
I'm sure. He's the only one that does, but he
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
makes a special note in his diary every time he's on the show.
It's called a journal. All right.
Ah.
It's not a diary.
And the
It's a
effective
silver
difference is-
anniversary. Oh,
Silver.
What do we have to give him for the silver anniversary?
I imagine
Silver.
silver.
Solid.
Oh,
One
I
would
mean,
imagine
that
silver.
would make sense. Yes.
I'll accept payment in cash as well.
Nope, silver it is.
It's-
Only silver shavings. We'll send you a bag.
You know, I can take that to the pawn shop.
No, you couldn't. I brought you silver shavings. Okay.
You
But-
can take anything to the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Best
guess
thing to
you're
do
right.
is 15.
I don't know, like $5.
Dude,
Well,
$5?
oh.
It's more than I would have gotten.
Yeah, I was hoping. Well, I was hoping for 600, but $5 is more than I had when I walked in, so I think it worked out pretty well.
Next time on Pawn
That's
Stars. Oh, jeez, I don't know.
That's-
There's a lot of silver, but like $20, I guess we could do.
Chumley,
got
why do you eat my lunch?
What? But he wants my car?
So, well, as far as I know, this is an original untarnished Fabergé egg. Best I can do is 45. Well, I was thinking more like $75 million. Is
All right,
any
I'll bring
wiggle
in,
room we
I'll bring
can
in a
have there.
guy. I'll bring in a
bring in
guy. He
an
knows all about
expert.
eggs.
He knows a lot about Fabergé eggs.
Oh, this is just
Yeah.
an egg painted with sparkles. I'm not really sure what you're trying to do here.
There's even some googly eyes in the back of it. What the fuck's up with that?
Those aren't diamonds at all. That's googly eyes.
Dude, that's all they put on the History Channel now. Where's the history? You don't learn from that.
Between
Some-
that and
you learn a
Notre
lot from
Dame's
that.
prophecies, there's
Oh.
nothing else on this.
They are-
No, they got the
History
gold
Channel
rush
is
people too.
creating history now. You don't understand. That's its
Ah.
job. It creates. Many, many years from now, we're going to look back and we're going to look at the History Channel and say, "Wow, what
Oh,
a shit show
they got-
this era was."
They got that show with the treasure hunters too. They hunt for treasure on that island.
The island with like kills you. That island that's like a
Yeah.
totally fake show.
They're
Is it
like,
just
we
called
could.
Treasure Island?
Yeah, I think it's just called Treasure Island or something. Or no,
Wow,
it's like the
that's
secret
great.
island of something.
Treasure?
Dr. Moreau. It's a great
It's,
horror.
What channel is it that has where they like follow an Alaskan family where the kids just grew up?
I think
in-
that's
my
Discovery.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
Discovery?
Yeah, I think that's
My
Discovery.
dad watches that show religiously.
I love that show. All the kids are so weird. It's great.
Yeah, that shit. Then the rest of the Discovery's car shows now. They're like, I took my car down to old Billy Bob's garage shack. He's like, you got yourself a truck here. I'm like,
This is
okay.
why we really need PBS.
Yeah.
That is a
Thanks,
ringing
PBS.
endorsement of that, yes.
Yeah, they have This Old House.
It's like
Great show. That's a great show.
It's a great show.
PBS, because look at the fucking alternatives. Good God. That should be all the ad is now, just showing footage
Yeah, it's
from
Oak
the History
Island.
Channel.
That's what it is. Oak Island.
There we go.
The treasure of Oak Island. And they talk to some
PBS,
guys like
without us, there'll be
Vikings were
more
here
Honey
only
Boo Boo.
50 years ago.
Oh, dear.
That's what it is.
Remember when this podcast was about video games?
Remember the History Channel was about history? This is why. If you don't fund PBS, this podcast is going to go downhill. I'm just telling you that.
Dude, they give you a free tote bag when you fund them.
Nice.
In LA, they give you a free beach towel, and it's neon orange.
Ooh.
Oh my God. And it says yellow on it.
Doesn't.
It
Oh,
does.
well, I mean, that's a reason not to fund them. If I fund them, will they stop doing that? Like,
Stop putting yellow, please. Just
Can
here
I
you
ask
go.
It's
them
like
not
the
to?
same color as my Lambo.
If we hit our goal, we will stop sending you shitty things.
I mean,
Oh
I've
my
considered
God, what
that
an amazing campaign.
as a strategy. I'm pretty sure it's been done as a strategy before. Some people have tried the like, give me $1 million and I'll go away kind of thing, but I don't think it's ever really worked. I'm pretty sure a YouTube channel did that at one point. Like everyone hated him. It's like, if you give me $1 million, I'll stop making YouTube videos, and people just like,
Oh, I think it
we
was
actually-
Sam Pepper. He was trying
Was
to
it?
do that.
Yes, that cunt. Yeah.
He was like, give me money and I'll stop.
Hmm.
If you all just give me $1, I'll be rich. It's easy.
And then I don't got to do nothing for the rest of my life.
Yeah, yeah.
Easy.
That's not really how Sam Pepper sounds. You know,
it's a social experiment.
he's a
Can you
British
can you guys
twat.
give me $1?
It's a
We'll see how
social
it works.
experiment to see how stupid people are. Yes.
I'll invite you all to my garage. We'll have a barbecue when I hit it.
In
When
the
you-
garage.
when I hit it.
When he hits $1 million. It's
Oh,
like that
dear.
guy that did the coleslaw Kickstarter.
I was just about to say it. No, potato
salad.
salad. The potato
Yeah,
salad.
Potato
salad.
salad.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
what it was.
I was talking about that on my stream the other day. Because in the end, he like threw a big picnic for his neighborhood.
I mean, my understanding of it is that he went through with it, right? Yeah.
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 He did.
Yeah.
He actually fulfilled
cool
all
guy.
of his
He made a
rewards.
shitload of potato
Yeah,
salad.
it was
He's,
one of,
he's
it
one of
was
the few
one of
people
the
on planet Earth. Yeah.
best, but it was one of the best Kickstarters there was. You know, it delivered exactly what it promised.
He asked for
Yeah.
nothing. That's the best part.
Rare thing indeed.
Now that I should have funded that.
I was
Yeah, you
gonna
should.
say,
I want to
that's
try that potato
such a
salad.
that's such a you thing to fund Crendor. Like,
I want to know how good that potato salad was.
Fuck me.
Being serious too. I really do.
Well, it's
Yo,
Crofts
so,
Podcast. We do
video
occasionally
games.
talk about video games. Today's episode is, I would have said proudly sponsored by, but I think they're reconsidering that at the moment. Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial. Go make the website of your dreams.
Oh.
Yes,
Like
I'll-
for ghosts. That's a ghost website.
It
Too.
is
You
a
can-
website.
Oh,
they
shit.
don't discriminate.
right.
Dead, alive, they don't mind. They don't mind.
Yeah.
And
It's all
that-
about clicks. Even
Yeah.
ghosts can click.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just like United
Ghosts can
Airlines.
click.
Dead, alive, they don't mind. They'll take your money anyway. United Airlines, not sponsoring this show. You know, speaking of Kickstarter,
Oh no! Boo! Boo!
speaking of Kickstarter and not alive, double segue, the rare double
Uh-oh.
segue,
Wow.
it finally arrived. Jesus, this weighs a fucking ton.
Yeah.
Oh,
God
nice.
damn it. This
Mamma
thing.
mia.
This weighs a ton. I cannot imagine what is inside. We will open the box and see what is inside.
I want souls to like pour out of it. Like, yeah,
I mean, this is a pretty good start.
that's awesome.
It plays the "You Died" chime as you open the
It's-
box.
And,
I had
Yeah,
that a lot
abs-
when I
and
played.
then there's like trays of stuff. I don't know why there's a bunch of cards with the British flag on the back of it.
It's a cynical Brit version.
I mean, I doubt that.
Wow.
Stop it.
Maybe it is.
It's just there's a lot of cones and blocks and stuff. Let me put it that way. It's like
It's like the
Yeah.
human eye, cones and blocks.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say, but I didn't say it because I was like, oh, blocks. Those aren't.
Block's not right, but it's for a
Yeah.
goof, so it doesn't matter. You just go with
I
it.
wanted to see if they had any. Well, I don't even know if the miniatures are assembled. Oh, they are. Okay, yeah, I found the box with the miniatures in it. At least some of them, anyway.
Whoa! Let's see them.
Okay.
Dude.
The dice have swords on them.
What the shit?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, there's some. Oh, these miniatures are quite fucking good, actually. There's a few. Is that-
Yo!
Ornstein
Where's that
in the middle
onion
there,
though?
maybe?
Yeah, where's
Chef.
Onion Bro?
Where's
don't know
Onion
if-
Bro
I don't know
at?
if an onion
Where's
comes.
Sun Bro?
Dude, History Channel needs an unboxing series,
You know,
a reality unboxing.
I do not believe there is any sun, bro. I'm sorry, there's not enough
What about
memes in this
onion?
box for you. It's,
No
yeah,
Onion Night.
all
No,
sorts of crazy
no
shit.
Sun Bro.
It's probably expansion.
That's not Dark Souls.
You're gonna have to pick that pen up.
Yeah.
It
You need
wasn't
that.
worth it.
Yeah.
No, there you go. I thought
Got
it was
it.
on the floor.
No.
Yeah, I can't wait to never get around to playing that. So,
It looks awesome.
Why is
yeah,
it so bright in here? Look at this. It's
you
like I'm
are- I
ascending
don't know.
into heaven.
You are whiter than usual. Can you do something about that? Go.
Yeah,
Go
you
do
need to put
something
that
about
shit
it.
down, man.
Crendor, you're
Oh, no.
glowing.
I'm glowing.
You are the ghost.
Yeah.
I am the ghost. I don't know
But-
how to fix it. It's just the sun.
Close
Turn it
the
down.
curtains.
I'm not used to being up at these hours.
The blinds, maybe.
No, I don't want to do that. I gotta go.
That,
Do that, then.
that involves getting up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm only doing that
love-
if I got
I
food or
love that
coffee.
reasoning. I don't want to do that because then I gotta do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well done.
Like, all right, Crendor, nailing it.
It's
Awesome.
honesty is what it is.
We know what to expect when you show
I'm
up
all
on the
about
show.
honesty.
We know what we're getting.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are nice though. I like the miniature quality of those things.
Yeah, man.
A lot of the big bosses are coming later in like expansions and stuff. I think I pre-ordered the Gaping Dragon, and it was like, this thing is fucking enormous and ridiculous. I like the fact you don't have to assemble them. I backed this one Kickstarter that looked really cool. I think it was called Drop Fleet Commander. It's like, oh, this is like a fleet battles miniature game. It's like, that's great. That sounds awesome. And you know, when you back a Kickstarter, especially when you back kind of a higher tier, you expect the game to arrive in like a nice box with the rules and, you know, all the miniatures and stuff. It was a cardboard box with just packing peanuts and sprues full of random shit, basically. Like, I don't think it even had instructions on what everything was, where to assemble it. I'm pretty sure the rules, like, download the rules online. It's like, I backed a box of plastic shit, basically.
Yeah.
Very disappointing. Like, most of the board games and stuff I backed on Kickstarter have been pretty good. Like, quality-wise, they've been kind of what I was looking for. The Orcs Must Die one maybe could have been a little better than it was. I think you kind of need to paint those miniatures for them to look good, because they're very like, everything is blue, like bright blue plastic. It's like, well, that's not what I think of when I think of orcs. I think, I don't know, green.
Not
green
all
suit
orcs are
one,
That's
green.
racist. Yeah, that's racist as shit.
Yeah.
perhaps, but outside of that, though,
You're
like,
thinking of Tolkien's works? Maybe you should expand your mind into other universes.
most of them have been good, but yeah, that was a box of crap. I haven't even bothered to do anything with it. So, well, this you didn't even put any effort into this. Like, come on.
Right.
That's sad. But no, the Dark Souls board game looks interesting. I'll see. I'll probably never get around to fucking learning it, but at least I have the miniatures on my shelf or something. That'll be all right. Looks cool. Your copy is arriving soon, Jesse, innit?
I know. I'm very excited. I want to play it.
Did you back any of the bosses as well?
No, I only the main
Crendor,
game.
stop fucking with your mic, Crendor. Jesus.
What? What?
You're tickling your mic. Stop it.
Don't.
Crendor, we have construction happening in our office right now. And
Do we
it's
have to
not-
make this worse?
It's not nearly as loud as your mic right now.
Pasta la
You're not
pizza?
touching it, so you're fine.
Pasta
Right.
pizza, man.
Stop
Jeez.
touching it.
Pasta la pizza, man.
Stop touching it.
Pasta
I'm just
pizza.
trying to, chill out with
You've
my
been doing
Power
this for what,
Rangers.
7 years now? Don't touch the mic.
8 years actually. All right.
Too long, buddy.
Yeah, tickle the mic.
Stop
we
it.
You
go.
know what sad thing is? He has actually, like, probably the best audio setup of any of us. And he just
Well, I just copied yours and then I added some stuff.
yeah. So he's got a better audio setup than any of us, and he screws with it by fucking with it. Stop. God.
Pasta la pizza, man.
It's like you buy the best set of knives that exists, the best chef's quality knives, like handed down through hundreds of years of ancestry. There's a history to each one of those knives. Told orally only, not written down, told orally, from son to son to son, passed down generation to generation. You're the motherfucker that makes fucking bagel bites with them.
Bagel bites are great.
Yo, but like that's a skill. You have to make like the little tiny bagel and then put the sauce on it with the cheese. Like that's if he didn't like unless he bought them. But if you made it from scratch made bagel bites, that's impressive. That's a skill.
Those are delicious.
Those are bagel bite.
Yeah.
Bagel bites.
Yeah.
You haven't eaten those since 8th grade.
Dude, I
doubt
bought
that
some.
when it
All right,
comes to
I
him.
hadn't eaten them since like freshman year of high school. Bought some the other year, and
They're
they
terrible?
were pretty mediocre.
They're
But I
terrible?
was
Great.
happy that I tried them again.
You just had that delightful, you know what? Not very good, but I'm glad I had it.
Yeah,
I want to make a restaurant. And look, there's restaurants in LA where you can get like handmade Pop Tarts. I want to do a restaurant that is handmade bagel bites. Like we made these little tiny bagels fresh, and
I bet that exists.
Of course it exists. Are you kidding me? It absolutely exists.
no one
you
thinks
guys-
about bagel bites. No one.
Is it me, or do you guys go on Facebook and see those like video like restaurants that are like, there's a restaurant somewhere in the middle of America that created this insane fucking dish,
Always in Los Angeles.
and you watch it and you're like, that can't be fucking real. It's like it's got to be like the equivalent of like Facebook food clickbait. There's no way people are like going to this place and buying these disgusting things that exist.
You, my friend, have lived on
No.
the coast far too long. You do not know what the
You
middle of
don't seem
America's
to
like.
in
How
any
big-
way understand.
What
Yeah,
if we
having
took
lived
5
majority of my life-
donuts
Yeah, let me
and
tell
we
you,
cut them in half and put a giant hamburger in the middle of it?
that is pretty much the Kentucky State Fair is like, what can we stick inside a donut this year?
And then deep fried.
Every year, that's what it is. It's like Krispy Kreme hamburger sounds good to me.
It's like, can we
Sure.
combine chili with donuts in some way?
Only
let's
if we
go.
deep fry it
Yeah, yeah.
twice.
I know that you can deep fry butter, but what if we just deep fried liquid fat? Could that work? And they're like, yes, it can.
Can we deep fry the deep fry?
Oh,
sure,
you
like,
they-
guys
might
are
have to
50
double
years
dip.
behind Scotland at this point. They have been doing this shit for a long time. You are amateurs in comparison.
Yeah, Scotch eggs, man.
We're a young nation. Give us time. We
That's
will
the
outdo
healthiest
all of
thing
you.
they make. Scotch eggs is
Yeah.
their health food.
I mean,
So good.
Chili cheese donuts. Now you guys got me thinking. If you take
Chili
away the
cheese
glaze, that actually
donuts?
wouldn't be bad. You take the glaze off, that wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't
I
be a
don't
bad
think
thing.
it would be bad. I think it would be artery clogging.
Yeah,
but it
you
wouldn't
die
be
from
bad.
it, but it wouldn't
Yeah.
taste awful.
Yeah.
Since I started
Alright.
my
Yeah,
like
it'd be fine.
health routine workout, I've just been dreaming about the best chili fries in the world. I love chili fries.
You know what? What if you put it on salad?
Dude, nacho tots. Nacho tots are the way.
Nacho tots.
Nacho tots. That sounds awesome.
Buffalo nacho tots with like buffalo sauce on that shit, dude.
Someone
go.
counted.
Buffalo
Let's
sauce
go.
on my nachos, you crazy.
Welcome to the Co-optional Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games.
It's
Current
our
of the show, we're
third
going to be talking about the games that we've been
Dude.
playing this week.
Speaking of co-optional podcasts, apparently I've only been on 21 podcasts.
Oh, but you can drink
That's
now.
20 too many, at least.
You're an adult now.
You know, I only brought you on for one reason, and that reason was for you to talk about and defend Yooka-lLaylee.
And then you can go.
And I brought Jirard on because I also know he's played Yooka-lLaylee, so you'd have someone to converse with rather than you sitting atop a pulpit for 45 minutes extolling the virtues of our Lord and Savior Yooka-fucking-Laylee. That is the reason you are here, sir. Do not assume more than that.
I will always assume more, first of all. And second of all, it's a great game.
Let's talk about Yooka-lLaylee. All right.
Yeah, let's just hop in, man.
Okay, you've played it, Jirard's played it. Anyone else touched it?
I
Nope.
didn't wind up touching
All
it,
right,
sorry.
cool. I mean, Jirard has a t-shirt, so he's going to go full fucking rooster teeth on this and go and He's gonna go off on a rampage about how Jeff Gersman's just looking for attention while we're his fucking Pip-Boy now. That's how it's gonna go. I see it.
Wow.
Jirard's been bought off. No doubt about it.
Jirard has also 100%ed the game.
He has,
Yeah.
yes. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's almost like that's his job or
my
something.
video on it just like is coming out right now. So if you're watching this live, you can go watch my video.
Don't
Shit,
do that.
dude.
No, fuck you, Jirard.
Man,
No.
Hey,
Wait,
I never promote anything on the show when I'm on. This is my one plug.
wait 3 hours, then go watch.
All right,
you.
wait 3 hours. Wait, put it on your like add later list. Watch
Dude,
later.
that's a 33-minute video.
It is. I made a 33-minute video about it.
Oh, how adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real cute. 33
Yeah.
minutes.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, you're a big boy now. Yeah, that's real
Bet you
great.
get a couple of bucks of that YouTube Red any minute now, right?
Guys, I'm real glad to be a part of the Co-optional podcast today. Real stoked to be a guest, helping out, talking about games. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
The roast of Jirard Khalil, brought to you by Co-optional.
Brought to you by Squarespace.
Indeed, yes. Extra value. No
Dude, a
doubt
lot of
about it.
roasts are really bad lately.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no.
they're mostly-
Stop. Stop. We're going to
But
talk about
you
Yooka-lLaylee now. Not roast.
Oh,
You
yeah.
almost fucking did it. You almost drew me off topic. Stop that immediately.
I'm a master derailer.
When Jesse has to be the voice of reason, you know this shit's going to
We've
hell.
done 3 intros. It is already 12:39. We have to go.
Yooka-lLaylee. All right. Crendor, your opening statement in the defense, please.
All right. Opening statement. Game's an 8 out of 10. All right.
Why?
All right. First off, let me tell you why it's not a 2 out of 10. It
Oh,
actually
great. We're going to
starts
argue
up.
about made-up scores now. Great. People are
Right,
like, why
it's-
didn't you bring Jim Sterling on the show? Let me think for a second why that was a bad idea.
Listen, if I think that, I think I'm going to start up the game and it's going to crash and give me a virus if it's like a 1 or 2 out of 10.
So what's the difference between 1 out of 10 and a 2 out of 10 then? If a 2 out of 10 is going to crash and give you a virus,
A
what's
1
out of
doesn't
10
even
gonna do?
start. It just gives you a virus.
Oh, great. Okay, that's the distinction. Right, good to
Yeah.
know. 3 out of 10, though, that'll run and won't give you a virus. But,
Yeah.
you know, possible real-life consequences, I don't know, gout. That's
Yeah.
something that's a possibility.
Probably gout.
Gout.
A 3
That's
out
like,
of 10 gives you gout.
Yes.
yeah, that's
3
like,
3 out of 10 is
that's like
gout.
bad rats.
Yeah.
Bad rats gave me gout a couple of times.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got the scale, the objective score scale finally nailed down, so everyone could stop arguing about it now.
There you go.
3 out of 10 is
So-
gout. All right, let's go.
I thought that it was a fun game. I didn't think it was like the best game. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever played. But I thought they did what they said they would do. I thought it was an old school rare platformer, which is what I wanted. And it was just a modernized version of an old school rare platformer. Like people that were complaining, like the camera. I'm like, have you played Donkey Kong 64?
Oh my
Wait
god!
a
I
minute.
wanted to. Ugh. Sorry. Go ahead.
Here's the thing. You just said, though, it was a modernized version. So surely a modernized version should fix the camera problems, right? Like,
No,
there's
no.
there's no
They-
nostalgic reason
It's
to
not
keep
an
a bad
updated
camera.
version. It's just a modernized version.
What's the difference?
What I'm telling you, it's the same thing. It's
You
got
didn't
the
tell
same
me
little
anything.
the cameras. All right, have you played
all
Donkey
right.
Kong 64?
Yes, the camera's shit.
Exactly. But
Okay, but why
that's
wouldn't you
part
fix
of the
that?
experience.
No, it's not. How does that benefit you? How does that make the game better?
It's not about making the game better.
What? It's about making the game worse?
No, it's not about making it worse. It's about
What-
keeping
what-
it the same.
But you said it was modernized, so why would it be
It
the
is.
same?
It's
But
the same.
How is it
game.
modernized?
It's the same type of issues that those old school things had.
But you said it was modernized.
It is.
So why would it have the same issue?
Listen, we're doing a who's on first here, all right?
Yeah, but how is it being modernized? I want like points.
All right,
two
updated
things.
graphics. The graphics are updated.
Okay, yep, I can accept that. Great. What else? What else has been modernized?
They've added, there's some different little platform puzzles they've put in.
That's not modernizing though. That's just putting different puzzles in.
Well, I mean, it's modernized. Listen, it's mainly
I-
just updated graphics. It's on your computer now. You don't need to own a console to play it, and it's just a fun little platformer, rare blast to the past, and you got some nostalgia out of it. And I did think that there's issues with it, but I want to see if what Jirard thinks first.
I mean, I also want to see what Jirard thinks because it might be more coherent. So let's see what Jirard has to say.
Well, I think the important thing to know is I was talking about this with Jesse. The reason why my video was 33 minutes because like I kept reading what everyone was saying, trying to like find what I really wanted to say. And the big thing that is that I actually, like Crendor, I absolutely loved Yooka-lLaylee. I think that there's a lot good going for it. The biggest thing is that all of the complaints in regards to the camera and the graphics and FPS dropping, all of it was taken care of before the game even came out. And that to me is huge, right? Like I think out the gate, the problems that were there, while valid, most of them were taken care of, and they still suffer from it.
Wait, so you're saying the camera's all been sorted out, and
it's not 100% sorted out depending on which version of the game you're playing. But like I played it, I completed the whole game on PC, and I didn't have that much problems with the camera, with the exception of like 1 or 2 sections. The camera problem, in my opinion, isn't so much I can't control the camera or the camera is a problem. The camera becomes a problem in certain sections where it's telling you to look somewhere, like certain boss fights or certain elements of platforming. Even when you start to fly with Yooka-lLaylee, it forces the camera in those regards. Those are the only moments in which the camera is truly a big problem. Whereas everything else, I really feel like if you've played a 3D platformer, cameras, to what Crendor was trying to say at least, the cameras are always hard. I feel like you either get really good at doing 3D platformers and dealing with the camera, or it's just you struggle with them because the camera is just kind of an ongoing beast. Mario Galaxy is a great game.
Are you saying that like you couldn't do it better? Like there's not a way to do it better with a modern 3D platformer?
I think it's hard to. I think that and I think the important thing to go with that too is this game is trying to, in my opinion, this game is it's a game that everyone's been wanting, right? Everyone's been wanting Banjo 3 for a long time. The fans of the Banjo series and the 3D platformers like Donkey Kong 64. This game's for them. And so I think it's hard to like, you know, people paid to have this experience. And so I think it's difficult to.
It's hard to change too much.
Well, yeah, updating things is nice, right? Like for instance, modernizing the game. We were talking about it earlier. One of the biggest modernizing things, while in today's day and age is like, wow, that's not a big thing, but it is for the genre, is not having collectibles for your ammo and stuff. In the original Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, you needed to get everything. You needed to get feathers and eggs and all kinds of crazy shit in order to keep playing the game. But to kind of match the modernized style of it, they just gave you an energy bar that replenishes itself. So they did take creative liberties to try and get it up to snuff of what modern gaming is, but at the same time they also wanted to keep true to like the nostalgic roots of Banjo-Kazooie and the other rare platformers that kind of came around. Yeah, I think it's great. My video is probably one of the ones that was like, this is truly a fun experience. I think the PC version is near perfect. I had no problems with it at all. The game never crashed. Good loading times, tight controls. It was great. I know that almost all the problems I read were almost PC or console exclusive, but
there were certainly some performance issues on console. Although I find it very interesting that performance issues suddenly get brought up now, whereas for big releases they get fucking glossed over. Like for say Fallout 4, you know, it's like that game apparently. It was like, oh, well, this game ran like shit on console launch. But if you pointed that out, then you're obviously just looking for attention because this game's amazing. Performance and graphics doesn't matter, a lot of people, but except when it does.
I thought a lot of people were overly critical of it because it was a Kickstarter, and they're like, I back this game, so I want so that made them more critical of it.
Like, this is what I told. Sorry, this is what I told Jirard too. I think much like RTS games, the 3D platform jumping game of the 90s that we all knew and love, and I guess early 2000s, I think that genre is just dead. Like I think the camera angles and all the problems that people have are reasons why the genre is dead. And this game, like Jirard said, wasn't created for a mass audience to be like, because you're not going to get back that audience. People have moved on. Just like RTS, it's now MOBAs. People have moved on from that. And I think
well, except the several million people that are still playing StarCraft and may
we're
very
talking
well
about,
play
like,
Brood War Remastered.
We're talking like the boom of
there are
RTS.
a few.
Yeah. We're talking about like the reason why there aren't a million RTS games right now. And same thing with you know, these 3D platforming games, it's one of those things where they don't exist anymore because of all the problems that came from them. And everything that everyone's bringing up is a valid criticism of that genre. It was always that way. Those games were always like that. The camera was always shitty. And if you are a fan of that, you're a fan of it despite all of that. And this game is for that person. And so everyone is like, fuck this thing. It's stupid and garbage. It's clearly not meant for you, my friend. This is a fan game meant for fans. And yes, it sucks that it won't get like a huge bump and the internet won't approve of this game. But at the same time, it wasn't meant for them. And I think the thing is that everyone got caught up in the hype of like, it's Banjo 3, dog. Like, this is it. This is going to be amazing. And I think a lot of that was people who just probably didn't even play that shit to begin with.
So I was even wondering how many people, like how long it had been since they'd played Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie or any of those games.
I think this is a big factor to a lot of this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because you played
colored glasses.
You played those very recently, Crendor.
Yeah, I played in the past year.
I completed them to prepare myself for Yooka-Laylee, and when I was reading all the reviews, everyone was like, "Well, that's not what Banjo is about," and I was like, "That's exactly what Banjo is about."
Yeah,
they set out to they had a promise of what they were going to do, and they did exactly that thing.
There is an image in the mind of a lot of people. This is not the only genre. I've been talking about this a lot when it comes to first-person shooters. The thing with Quake Champions is quite similar to the situation right now. Like, people have this idealized idea in their head about what an arena shooter is and what they want out of an arena shooter. So everything Quake Champions does, people shit on. It's like, this isn't a real arena shooter. This is not how arena shooters were. I'm like, when was the last time you played one? Like, because if it was 10 years ago, chances are, one, you're a lot older, your preferences have changed, and secondly, you don't seem to know what it is that you want out of this, and you're suggesting that just because they made a change to something, that this is now unacceptable. So what, you want the same game? Do you even know what you want in this particular situation? I think that there is definitely an issue with people that had this idealized view of what those games were, and in reality, a lot of those games came around the N64, PS1 era, with shitty 3D cameras and shitty 3D design. You know, talking about, well, your best examples of genre are Banjo and probably Crash Bandicoot, which still have pretty major control issues. And then you look at stuff like Spyro and the really shit stuff, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Most of these were made by the same company, by the way.
Conker. I played Conker only like 4 or 5 months ago.
Conker's
that
great
game. If it had some of the issues in that game, like if Yooka-Laylee had some of the issues Conker has, people would be flipping their shit. Like, this is garbage. Like, there's how if you jump, right, and you look below you, you see your shadow on the ground, like, oh, that's where I'm going to land. Conker doesn't have that. You just have to guess where you're going to land. Well, and I was like, what?
Here's the thing with playing with nostalgia like this. There's only 2 outcomes that I've seen so far. Very rarely is everyone happy. You're either going to get a Yooka-Laylee where it's designed, and this is just like making video game movies where there's only really 2. No one's ever going to be happy, but like you get Yooka-Laylee, which is, it's going to make hardcore fans happen. Everyone's going to be like, fuck this. Or you're going to have something like Mighty Number 9.
Mighty Number 9. I knew that's what you were going to say.
Different. Yeah, let's try to make something totally different, but still be like, capture the vibe, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this? It's not Mega Man.
I would say I'm going to disagree with you, because I think there's a third option, and I think that third option is a game like Shovel Knight. Now, the argument that's been made for Shovel Knight is that Shovel Knight is the game that people think they remember they used to play on the NES. Basically, the idealized version.
Shovel Knight is that game, but it captures the emotion, not the
bullshit. Yes. Like that's the Shovel Knight is a game that exists through rose-tinted spectacles, and it's good because they made the game that people thought they remembered playing 20 years ago. In reality, if you actually went back and played that game, you'd notice it was full of frustrating bullshit. They took a lot of that out, and they kept the stuff that people liked. The problem that some people seem to be having with Yooka-Laylee is that isn't true. But then, if you're making the argument that Yooka-Laylee was just made for people, strictly this market, that played Banjo and games like it recently and really enjoyed them in spite their flaws, and would have had to do that in order to enjoy it, that's a niche of a niche of a niche, right? That's
I think
very
that's what they were going.
Like,
I think, according to the Kickstarter, at least from what I know, that these 2 guys probably know more than me, but at least according to the Kickstarter, that's what it seemed like they were going for. Like, this isn't for mass marketing. This is like for you guys, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't think it's gonna like go well because it'll come out on the Switch too. And I think with the lack of games on the Switch, a lot of kids will just buy it because they're not gonna be like, "Does this game have excellent gameplay?" They're gonna be like, "I want the lizard game," and they'll be like, "All right, get them the lizard game."
Yeah.
well, that
You are very
To
much
add to
down with the kids, Crendor. I trust your opinion on this.
you kind of have to ask yourself, like, Yooka-Laylee was not only made for the adults that played those games and backed it, but I think it's meant for a new generation of gamers who don't really have like that much mascot gaming nowadays. The kind of mascot gaming essence that exists is no longer a thing. It's like
gaming.
Mario, Sonic.
Yeah,
maybe.
mascot gaming is it's a real thing. Yeah, you might be right on that, but if that's true, and these people don't have a lot of experience with stuff like Banjo and Spyro, etc., surely they're going to go into Yooka-Laylee and be horribly frustrated by it, right? If you're saying that it's a game that was designed for
if that's the case, then why did any of us pick up Banjo-Kazooie on the N64 when we were kids?
we didn't have much of a choice. I mean, if we wanted like a
There
3D,
weren't nearly as many options.
a
that is
3D
true.
any game. You know, there's one of the reasons mascot gaming around that time was so popular is because we're entering 3D and we couldn't properly model real faces. So they came up with cartoon characters because they were easier to model and easier to make look good. That's why all of these mascots weren't human.
Sure.
Look, I was obsessed with Spyro, so it worked.
Yeah, man.
I was
Kids
like,
are still obsessed
dragons!
with
That's why I think it'll sell really well on the Switch
Yeah.
if they put it on the Switch.
Exactly.
I mean, it might. That's assuming that we're still in a world where people give a fuck about mascots anymore. Like, outside of nostalgia. Like, can you think of a recent,
Well,
like, maybe over
I
the
mean-
past 10 years, a mascot that's become popular? Like, in the last 10 years, that isn't, like, already something like Sonic or Mario or whatever that's, already around? Anything?
Right. No, but
But I think what Crendor was trying to say though is that kids are still gonna like brightly colored, like interesting looking characters. And if there's a kid who has a Switch at home and doesn't have that many games to play and sees Yooka-Laylee as an option, they'll probably be like, I want to play that, right? Because it
Yeah.
like
I was at GameStop yesterday picking up some games, and there was a kid in front of me his dad was like, "What do you want to play? Do you want to play Ratchet and Clank, or do you want to play the Yooka-Lizard thing?" And the kid immediately said, "I want the lizard," because the contrast of Ratchet and Clank being like, darker orange colors versus like the bright and cartoonish appeal of Yooka. I would say Yuka's a little more cartoonish than Ratchet and Clank is.
The child
from
will
the
learn a valuable lesson that day. They made
Well,
a horrible mistake.
When I was a kid, I played so many like random ass games that I didn't care about. I was like, I rented Scooby Doo Adventure. It's like random shit like that. And I'm like, oh, that was fun. But like if I played it now, I'd be like, this is garbage.
Incidentally, the things like the camera controls were not by any means the only complaint that quite a lot of reviews had about it. The controls were an issue, but quite a few people have said that they don't really like the way that the worlds are designed. They don't like the fact that there are areas that you're not even sure that you can reach, and you might need an ability that you haven't got yet, which means
That's
you
just
have to
part of the old
backtrack an
school,
awful
like,
lot.
Platformer genre. Like the whole
Is
you're
it,
not supposed to
though?
have all your abilities right off the start. You
I mean,
learn
that's
them as
that's
you
what
progress.
that's all Metroidvania kind of games would do. But I mean, I didn't play a lot of those games, so you'd have to tell me. Did
Yeah,
Banjo,
yeah,
did
it's
Banjo-Kazooie have a lot
definitely
of that stuff in it?
It's definitely reflective of the 3D platformer genre of the N64 era, because DK64, Banjo-Tooie, Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, you had to get to a point in which, hey, here's the level, you're familiar with it, you know all the ins and outs, there are challenging things in your way that you can't progress through. Maybe it's time to come back when you've learned and grown and gotten more. And so when you move on in the game, you learn more about the character, you get more skills, you can do more things, then you go, oh shit, I can go back and take care of those things that were once a problem. And so you go back there and suddenly, more stuff is happening and you can do more things. And that definitely, like, that to me is exactly what those 3D platformers are. Even in Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2, there are levels that you don't not necessarily need moves, but you may not know what to do because you weren't introduced to something,
Well,
jumping in certain ways.
can I jump in here with just a question to the entire group? Why does it seem that it's perfectly okay as a concept in a Metroidvania game, but not in a game like this? Like the idea that, well, I can't get there now, but I bet I can get there eventually when I find the double jump. But in this, it's like, right?
The
it's just a
answer I
curious
have to that
question.
is, in most of the Metroidvania style games I've played, they clearly signpost that. Like, great example would be, one of my favorites, going back to, oh god, why have I forgotten the name of it? It's like, I love this game and I've completely forgotten it. It was the Lucha Libre Metroidvania game.
Oh, right.
Guacamelee, yes, there you go.
Guacamelee.
Yeah, Guacamelee very clearly signposted that. It's the good old red gate, yellow gate, green gate kind of situation where it was very clear that you needed a specific move to pass a certain point. And there's quite a few Metroidvania games that I've played. I think Ori did a fairly similar-ish kind of thing, whereas, like, you clearly need something here. What I've heard about Yooka-Laylee is that it puts things in positions where it seems like, yeah, you could totally get up there, and then it turns out that you can't, and you're left trying to figure out, do I need a new ability, or am I just doing this wrong? And it ends up sort of being a frustrating experience trying to figure out which. Do you agree with that?
I
think
agree.
Part of that also has to do with like the kind of 3D spatial understanding of like what's going on.
Yeah.
Because like there's a big difference between that and like, more 2D Metroidvania style games where it's like, I can clearly see that I can't get up there. Just at a glance, I know that I cannot jump high enough for that.
Is there
so I'm
anything
turning
wrong with
around.
just putting a sign that literally says you can't get up there?
I mean, I think that kind of.
Well, usually they'll
I
like
don't know.
hint towards stuff. Like, for
Yeah.
example, you see something and it's like, oh, it's a block of ice. I bet I need something that will melt that. Just like using, it's
I
like
think-
puzzle logic.
yeah.
Like, okay. And then like in the hub world, usually how you progress through the hub world, because I've seen people be like, I get lost in the hub world. I don't know where I'm going. Usually by unlocking the moves, you progress through the hub world. So you're like, oh, I can't get up there. And then you're like, oh, I got this move. Now I can get up there. And you get up there and you're like, oh, this goes to the next area. And like, it's all progression through the game, like the game.
So you've got to be tapped into the game's puzzle logic in order to realize that, because the game doesn't tell you at all in
I
any
mean,
way.
if-
Well, it hints towards it.
I was gonna say, I think if I came up to an ice block and then my character voice was like, oh man, I really wish I had something to melt this ice block, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I need something else.
There's a
right?
prime
Like,
example.
that's
there's
a
prime
pretty
example.
big indicator.
There's a prime
Yeah.
example of that in Yooka-Laylee. There's a tunnel, and you try to go in it, and Laylee goes, "Oh man, we can't go in here yet. There's something weird about this place." And Yuka's like, "Yeah, I can't breathe. We shouldn't go in there. We're dying." And then you get a power up that lets you go through there. And so it's like there are a lot of hints throughout the game that tell you, hey, maybe this thing that you're trying to experience right now isn't meant to be experienced right now, and you have to try and find other solutions. And there are workarounds too. There's one puzzle in the first level where it requires you to be able to have like a double jump float, and if you are careful with your platforming, you can actually go, oh, you know what, I think if I'm just really good at jumping around, I can actually still do this puzzle. And there's a lot of, in my opinion, that's different solutions across the board, because there are a lot of pages that you can get that if you just were patient and thought about it, things are easier if you have a skill or two, or you can just practice and do it right, or do it a different way.
Yeah, there were a
and-
couple of times I did that where I would like jump and I'd hit X and you do like a dash going that way. And I was like, oh, I didn't even need to learn glide. I just did it that way. Like,
Right.
Man, I personally find that confusing, because I'd be wondering, well, did I just glitch this, or was it intentional that I was able to get through this or not? Is this something they're going to patch now?
but I think
I
that's
don't know.
why it's made for the people that enjoy that type of genre. Because it's like, I go back to Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie or any of those games, and it's the exact same type of thing. I'm
I-
just used to that at that point after playing those
Yeah.
games.
I don't know, the way that TB, the way that you're wanting that to go sounds so handholdy to me. Like,
To me, it's more
to
about
walk up-
not having my time wasted by
Well, I
bullshit.
I mean, I guess, but
Like going back to the 2D version of it, Hollow Knight really didn't have much of those. Like, well, you can't go here. Like, it just, you literally, there were moments where you had to realize, oh, I have to come back here later, right? Like, you got that idea too, yeah?
I mean, like, there are tons of areas that you go to where you're like, there's obviously something here, but I cannot go through it. Like,
Right.
you walk up to something and there's spikes on the top and bottom, and you're like, I
Yeah.
can't go through there.
Well, I mean,
Or
as
there's
long as
a
it's
jump that you just can't make, and you're like, all
as long
right,
as it's
apparently I get a
obvious.
super jump later.
But the problem is, if you have inconsistency in that respect, where there are some areas that it's very obvious that you can't advance without a certain skill, and that's fine. You realize, okay, I'm going to come back later then. But then there are others where it's not so obvious, and you end up wasting a bunch of time trying to get to something that in reality you couldn't get to regardless of what you try without that ability, and yet the game sort of misled you into believing that. Then I'd view that as a design problem. As long as they're not doing that, then that's not a problem.
In the case of Yooka-lLaylee, though, after really spending a lot of time in it, that essence of, oh, I don't have this thing yet, isn't a thing that happens often. It happens less than maybe 3 or 4 times in the entire game you're playing it, in which you're going, oh, I can't do this part yet, maybe I should come back. And you, like, based on the threshold of how you progress, and that's the whole thing about Banjo-Kazooie and 2E and 64, is you don't need to complete everything in order to move on in the game. You can get half of the items or even a quarter of the items and still move forward. And then if that's the pace you want to go, you then unlock things faster. And so you can go, oh, maybe I should go back, or maybe I can keep going forward. It's kind of the essence of you can do whatever you like. You can make the decision yourself. It's just a matter of, I want to do this right now, or do I want to try and figure it out later?
Yeah. And I mean, one of the complaints I did have was I didn't really like the final boss that much. I don't know what you thought, but at least the first couple of phases of the final boss, I was like, I enjoyed the final phase.
It was confusing at first. But once I figured it out, it was just one of those things where you have to do a lot of things in succession, and if you die, you start all the way back to the beginning of that whole process.
Which is how they all are, every one of those games. But like compared to, for example, I did the K rule fight in Donkey Kong a little bit ago. And in that one, you like swap between each Kong. So you're like, all right, now you're in the boxing ring with Donkey Kong. And you kind of learn like, okay, I got to do this thing. I got to go to the top of the boxing ring and then jump down and then shoot out of a barrel. And you use all the moves you've learned throughout the game to defeat the final boss guy. But in this one, it didn't really indicate it all that well, what you were supposed to do. Like in Donkey Kong, I was like, okay, there's the barrel. I got to get in the barrel. I got to shoot him. This one, it's like, bees are on you. Go. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Oh, right.
Did you get a chance to watch?
Point, Crendor, there are multiple ways to do that fight. They just don't tell. It's like you have, I think by the end of the game, you get 15 to 17 skills overall. And any way you use those skills can determine the way of the fight. Like, you don't have to play the one way to fight the fight. There's several different ways to fight capital B.
That is true. Because at first I was doing the, you know, how you roll around as a ball and then you get a force field around you.
I did the same thing. And then it's like, oh, but if I do the Sonic Blast, it's different.
Yeah, so then I switched to Sonic Blast and I was like, oh, that's easier. See, that's true. There are multiple ways. I just thought that at least the second phase where you just shoot snowballs at him for like 10 minutes, I thought that was not the greatest of phases. But I mean, I enjoyed the final phase, the tier 3 phase.
Did any of you get the chance to watch the zero punctuation video on this game? Because yeah, that's unfortunate. Because one of the main complaints that he had about it, and this included the final boss fight and a lot of other stuff, was the inconsistency of the way that certain abilities worked, in the sense that you get this ability to do a certain thing, and it's like, well, yeah, this does this, but except in this circumstance, it doesn't do this. And that was apparently the case with certain enemy types and certain bosses, and that these abilities would only do the thing in certain circumstances, and that it didn't really make a lot of sense. Did you encounter anything like that in there at all?
Not really. I thought that the skills just made the game flow that much better. Like you can do the super.
Oh yeah, it was the fire tongue thing. Apparently, there was something with the fire tongue ability and torches. Like you could light your tongue on fire, but not like torches would still burn you or so. I don't. Like I say, I haven't played the game. I'm trying to get information out of you guys.
Okay. So there's 2 different kinds of elements that you can consume in order to like change the way that Yooka-lLaylee functions, right? The first one is projectiles based on plants. So you can eat like a fire plant and breathe fire. The second one is you can eat like a pot of coal and it'll make Yooka-lLaylee's body impervious to flame and keep the body warm. And so those are 2 different things that you can do at the same time. You can be hot all the way through and shoot fire if those elements are around. But those things are only temporary because it's like they go through. I mean, this is the way I'm rationalizing it. He eats it and it goes away. So, yeah, I mean, in those moments when you are eating the hot coal, you are impervious to flame. But if you don't have that, then you take damage from flames.
Yeah.
Fire.
I was never having a problem with that either. I wasn't like, oh man, I lost my flame. But like,
I mean, and it wasn't like there was a unlimited like a limited amount. There, if you messed up or ran away, you can just always walk back and get more of it.
yeah, like
And
the
there were
one,
tonics to expand that as well, so they would last longer.
for example, on the ice world, there's a flame pot. So you eat the coal and you're like, okay, and then you progress up a little bit and you jump onto another pot of coal that isn't lit yet, and that one lights up and you're like, oh, now I can eat from that one. You just keep progressing up and up until you get to the reward at the end.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think it was that confusing or anything. But
This game was pretty straightforward. I mean, but maybe
Yeah.
then again, I'm like, this game I feel was like made for someone like me, where through the 3D platforming genre that everyone says died is my favorite type of game, and I live, eat, and breathe Mario, Banjo, Donkey Kong 64. Like this game was designed for someone like me. So when I played it, it just felt really good all the way through.
yeah, like there were complaints. I was reading someone said, what did they say there? Like the aiming and the shooting of the projectiles is just so bad because you can't move as you're shooting them. And I'm like, that's how it always is.
That's not
That's
no. That is not a reason for anything. That's just because it always is not a reason for that design element to be in the game.
But this
But
again,
that's a
does it- how-
nostalgic game. They're making an
don't
old
get-
school nostalgic
nostalgia
game, so
is
that at least
bullshit,
validates
man.
some sort of
You-
reason.
You have to have a
I'm with-
reason for that to be there.
I think
how-
this is the problem. Is this is a game created for like the people who just don't care. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good game. It just means that it's created for those people who will automatically overlook it.
If you're gonna overlook it, that's fine. But when you then go and complain that a review didn't like it because they didn't overlook it because it's their job not to overlook it, that then becomes a problem. Surely, if there's gonna be a limitation in the game, like say you can't move and shoot, then there has to be a reason for that to be there. Does
you
it somehow?
Are you talking about precision shooting?
Yeah, precision shooting.
Is that what it's talking about? Because again, I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Yeah, because you can run and shoot no problem, but if you want to like actually aim, like
Yeah, like
stop
scope
and aim,
in.
I would argue it's like pulling out a sniper rifle, right? You zoom in
Yeah.
with the scope. That's
Yeah,
the reason
exactly.
behind not moving and shooting.
You
is
clearly
that-
never played against a Widowmaker. Fuck me. Some bullshit right there.
I mean, to be fair, from the way that you've made it sound, that doesn't sound unreasonable at all. You know, if you're aiming down a scope and you're not able to move while you're doing it, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and that's essentially what it is. And there's not a lot of moments where it's like you are forced to use this mechanic in what you must aim and shoot and not move. It happens a handful of times, less than. It's optional. It's all optional. You can either run around and shoot, and when you shoot, it's for, I guess, lack of a better word, it's pretty homing, if you will. Like you just kind of blindly shoot half the time, and it just pretty much almost hits everyone all the time. But if you need to like shoot a switch, or if you need to sniper someone who's really driving you crazy, you can then go into that, third person over the shoulder mode and just shoot them. And that to me makes sense as to why I would stop and aim and shoot.
To me, here's the thing is we've talked so many times about how if you don't aim your product at a specific demographic, then you're destined to fail, right? Like you
Sure.
can't aim your product at everybody. So if the people who loved Banjo-Kazooie and all of that stuff loved this game, were they not successful?
Well, I guess the sales figures will tell them whether or not they were successful.
Right.
The thing is
I'm just
that
saying, like, that's the demographic they were aiming for.
the
They
thing
were
is,
aiming for me. I didn't even play those games.
I mean, I think you're very much right, but I think then we go back to the case of Shovel Knight, which was absolutely aiming at that demographic, but in that case, guys who enjoyed the 2D NES platforms, but fixed almost every problem those games had anyway. So not only
Sure.
was it considered to be awesome by the people that backed it, they said, we got exactly what we wanted. But outside of the people that backed it, they also got what they wanted, because it was just a genuinely good game beyond that. And I think there is a big difference between making what's basically nostalgia bait, warts and all, and taking the essence of what people thought they loved about these games 10 or 20 years ago, and then creating a game based on that. It's the same thing with RTS and with FPS right now and arena shooters. I think that the people who are trying to make real-time strategy games right now don't understand what it was that people really enjoyed doing 10 or 15 years ago with them. So when they release the game and nobody likes it, it's like, why? I thought you said you wanted a new RTS. It's like, no, what they actually want is a new Command and Conquer-like experience that they comp stomp with their friends like they did 15 years ago at a LAN or over a, modem connection or whatever, versus AI. The same shit with like Brood Wars. Like, do they really want the competitive Brood War experience? No, they want that UMS that they used to play with all their friends. They want that tower defense game they used to play 10 or 15 years ago. Like, it's about creating a game that encapsulates the essence of that rose-tinted view of what things were, and sands off the rough parts. Smooths it out a bit.
I guess. Okay, so let's take a step back and look at, like, I guess Platonics and Yooka-lLaylee in general, right? They all came from Rare. Microsoft bought Rare, and then Rare basically became a shell of a company that creates motion-based games, and now they're finally moving on to making an original game with Sea of Thieves, right? We haven't seen a Banjo platforming game since Banjo-Tooie, because we've all assumed that the genre has died, people moved on, people don't want to play that game necessarily. I feel like, can't there be a space in the market, especially in the case of Platonics, where they said, hey, you know what? Yeah, Banjo 3 may never show up. None of us who were involved with Banjo are going to be a part of it. Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts, while half of us worked on it, wasn't really what we wanted for this franchise. And that franchise kind of came and gone. But the whole point of the Kickstarter was, if we made this game that was going to be a Banjo-like experience, would you pay for it? And I think the people who obviously wanted to see that experience did pay for it. And I feel like, as much as the game company is trying to appeal to newer people to join them and fund their future projects for Yooka-lLaylee or Yooka-3lee or whatever you want to call it.
Oh God.
Look, I just made that up.
They're using Yooka-llaylee now. That's happening, right?
Yeah, they definitely.
Toucan, yeah. You've just done their work for them. You should have charged them consultancy for that.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, can't there be a space for that? I mean, if people paid for this experience and they got that experience, I feel like and if they're trying to promote it for people who want to experience it, who are new to the franchise or new to the genre, then why can't that be a thing, as opposed to everyone just kind of being like, no, this is bad. Like, I feel like they can just try and exist for what they are.
I mean, they can, but the people who are saying bad probably weren't going to play it anyway. So I agree not
with
really
you,
a problem.
And that's okay.
But I also think that, again, back to the Shovel Knight example, you can have both. You don't have to sacrifice one for the other. You can make a game that will both please those people and advance the genre. I think it's one thing to resurrect a dead genre. I think it's another to not only resurrect it, but also then evolve it and bring it into the modern age. I think that's been happening recently with CRPGs like Wasteland 2 and Pillars of Eternity, Divinity Original Sin, and recently Tides of Numenera. You can argue that those games are the ones that are not, they're reviving the old school CRPG, Black Isle CRPG, but they're also improving it in many ways. And they're bringing it, and a lot of people are not complaining about those games. The old school guys that really enjoyed Planescape and Baldur's Gate are saying that these games are good, but they're also getting out to a wider audience too. So, I mean, what I ideally would like is for 3D platformers to do the same thing. And a game like Snake Pass is probably a game that seems to be doing that, which is sadly getting overlooked right now because of the Yooka-lLaylee stuff. From everything I've heard, Snake Pass is not only the 3D collectathon game that people seem to want, but it's also got some unique ideas and some really cool stuff going on with it.
I don't even know what that is.
You should probably look at it. It's a 3D collectathon platform, but you're a snake, and the controls work like you're a snake. You have to coil yourself around things to move and shit.
That sounds awful.
It's apparently Well, I mean, if you don't like snakes.
I'm just saying.
It's
If you don't like
it's actually
snakes,
pretty
I
tight.
guess. But I mean, I'm told Snake Pass is fucking awesome, and people should be having a look at that. But you know,
Well, I guess to go along with that, TB. Shit, I lost my point. I was going to discuss something. Now it's gone. Oh my God! Stop with the cameras there.
Well, I think if they made another game, I think they would innovate it more.
Now I remembered. Okay, I'm not trying to like make an excuse for Platonics, but I want to just point out some things. Right, this is a Kickstarter funded project, right? I feel like everyone who's done Kickstarter for the first time or just learning and experiencing it, I'm not like saying they deserve a pass because they kickstarted it, right? That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that when kickstarting a project or doing something involving that kind of scale, you never really know what production is going to be like and what changes. Shovel Knight got delayed several times in its production and within good reason.
Mhm.
But to my understanding, during that Kickstarter process, when they finally got to the point where they were about to release the game, they were struggling because they were running out of money and they wanted to, under promise, over deliver. That's kind of always the thing, right? Under promise, over deliver, under promise, over deliver. And then the goals are met and then the money comes in and the scope gets bigger, the scope gets smaller, whatever it may be. And so I think that I don't want to call it like the Kickstarter curse, but I guarantee you that if this game had more time, a lot of the changes and complaints of the modernization would be cleaner. But I think that in the case of Yooka-Laylee, it already got delayed once. And they had to meet those deadlines. And I think that then just goes to show, like, is kickstarting a game necessarily like how do we improve on that? I'm not trying to stick up for them in that regard. I'm just saying that it got delayed just like most Kickstarter projects do.
Which is fine. I don't see a problem
Right.
with delays at all, as long as it is then used to make sure that everything is right and that everything is good before it comes out. Kickstarter in particular, I think they probably have the most flexibility with when they release stuff, because shit on Kickstarter is always delayed and there's an expectation that things won't come out at a specific time. The problem, I guess, is when you then take on a publisher, which Yooka-Laylee did, there starts to become those deadlines. It's almost like Yooka-Laylee was, at that point, barely even a Kickstarted project. I have to wonder how much money was then thrown in from other sources. Was Yooka-Laylee actually made on that Kickstarter budget? Hard to say. I don't know what the breakdown is. But again,
we
of
really,
that
we
scope,
really have no idea.
No, we don't. But
Well, they'll like bring up the game again. The worlds. I don't know if you thought there were too little worlds or what you thought about the expanding worlds, because I thought the expanding worlds were okay. But what I ended up doing was I would just go and expand the world right off the bat. So I was like, I might as well just get the most expanded world right now and go do everything. So I didn't really like that mechanic that much. So what happens is, if you don't know, you get to go to a world and it's not complete yet. It's like part of the world. And then after you collect a certain amount of pages, or that's what you use to like unlock or expand a world, you go back and then it's like, hey, do you want to make this world bigger so you get more stuff to do? And you're like, yeah. And then it makes it bigger and they're like, oh, the tower that's there got bigger. Or like this building that had nothing now has like a giant amount of stuff to do because it expanded and it's a really big building now. But all I would end up doing, like I said, was I would just go unlock the world, jump in, jump out, and then expand it and be like, all right, now I'm just going to go do everything. So I don't know what you thought about that, but I was like, it's not the greatest.
I mean, I think it depends on, for me personally, I went in, I wanted it to be, I knew about the expanded function before I jumped in, because I wanted to make sure that, like, the thing is that these levels are massive. They're big. Everyone says they're big, but they're empty. I kind of disagree with that sentiment because there's so many goddamn collectibles and objectives in each world. It's hard to argue that there's nothing in the worlds, because there is a shit ton of things to do and see and fight and climb and touch and all that fun stuff. But for me, and I think this is just a matter of like how I play games. When I went into the worlds for the first time, they kind of do the cinematic pan of like showing you the world, what's around you, kind of painting the image of what there is to do. And I honestly forgot about expanding the world at first. When I was done, the pagey prompt comes up and says, hey, you can make this world bigger. And so I walked out, expanded it. And when I came back, it did the whole thing again, but it expanded the world, showing me everything. And so I had at that point, when I felt like I exhausted all of my options finding everything, I would expand a world and then new elements would pop up, especially from the perspective of completing the game. You have to get all of the quills and all of the collectibles and everything in that level. It only helped me because if I had the knowledge that everything was just going to be in this one small area, I'd freak the fuck out because it's like I wouldn't know what to do once I've really scrubbed everything. But once the world was expanded, I saw so much more. More characters showed up. I really enjoyed it. I actually thought it was a really smart way to make the world feel bigger, especially because there's only 5 stages.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing. Was like
That was my biggest complaint.
Yeah, I wanted more stages because I was like, well, instead of expanding it to a really big world, I'd rather it be like a medium-sized world and have a few more stages to play through. Because if you play Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, or like any of the old ones, they always have like 8 or 9 stages to go through, and this one only had 5.
It does seem like it would make more sense, you know, instead of forcing you to go back to a place you've already been. It's like, well, this is new, but this isn't, and this isn't, but this is new.
And I think they did that because they already had the art assets and everything, and it's probably easier to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe now that if they have more money or stuff to do, they do a bigger version, kind of like what they did with Banjo-Kazooie, where Banjo-Tooie was like twice, if not 3 times as big. So I don't know.
We'll see. I think they'd probably have to kickstart again if they have any intention of making a sequel. I doubt they'd be able to make enough money off the sales of this thing to fund a much larger version of it. It's hard to say. You know, some of these guys do, and some of them go right back to the Kickstarter well, saying, well, yeah, we got some money, cool, but nowhere near enough to fund the scale of what we're looking for here. Hard to say. We'll have to see how well it does. So far, obviously, it hasn't been out for all that long. It's shifted. According to Steam Spy, 45,000 copies. But we need to wait a good couple of months, I think, to get a feeling of how well this thing's going to do. And like you said, it may very well do an awful lot better on console, especially on Switch, where there are almost no games to play. I'm intrigued to see how well it shifts there, especially considering mascot platformers, like you said, generally at home on console as opposed to PC. So, hard to say. All right, well, there you go. There's your thought on... Oh, sorry, Jirard?
I just had a quick question for you, TB, because I don't know enough about data and like numbers and stuff. What is considered a success in regards to sales? Is it like 500,000? Is it 2 million? Like what?
Depends on the scale of the game and how much it cost. Honestly.
So in the case of Yooka, $40. Like I don't know what's a big number? Because to me, I'm like, man, I sold 1,000 games. That's a lot. But obviously, I'm not a game developer, so I have no idea.
Again, it depends entirely on your budget. We don't know if Yooka-Laylee was funded entirely off the Kickstarter. It has a publisher, probably got some money from there. That may have been outside investment. And then you've got to factor in all of the costs involved in that, and then the cut that Steam takes, and then how much you actually end up taking home. Pay all your staff, pay everything off, start to make some profit, and then figure out, okay, how much of this can I squirrel away to make my next game? You know, generally speaking, you'd want to be able to, ideally, make enough money to comfortably go on to your next project without too many worries for that game to be a success. I couldn't give you a number on that one. It varies on a game-to-game basis.
Sure. Cool. I just wanted to pick your brain on that.
I'm intrigued to see where it goes, though.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah. All right, well, that's Yooka-Laylee, then. That's a lot of information about Yooka-Laylee. We'll see what people think of it. It's kind of a shame that we don't have an expert on 3D platformers that didn't like it as much, that would have been able to provide a counterpoint, because I don't know shit about 3D platformers, unfortunately, but there you go. It does sound like maybe that if you happen to be into that sort of thing, and especially if you happen to have played it recently, you played something like Banjo or Spyro recently, that, yeah, you would be able to do this stuff. One thing that I noticed, Jirard, in the way that you were explaining certain concepts, is it sounded to me like you were very much tuned into the game logic, not only of this game, but games like it. Whereas you were explaining things as if it was just second nature. Whereas to me, it was like, that's not second nature to me at all. That would be horrendously confusing to me.
Right, yeah.
So I guess it's the same thing that would happen if you happen to be an expert of point-and-click games. It's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm like, no, this is impenetrably silly. Like, I don't understand a thing. What's going on there?
Exactly.
Tricky. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, more about other games that are not Yooka-lLaylee, because there are plenty of other games that we've also been playing over the last week or so and a half. We're going to get to them. You are watching the Co-optional podcast. Don't go anywhere. Our sponsor today, Squarespace. Squarespace.com/co-optional. 10% off your first order and a free trial. Head on over there. I have this wonderful ad for you. Totally amazing. It's not thrown together at the last minute. Absolutely not. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. The deadline's getting close. I need this new Squarespace ad written. I've got no idea where to go with it. What's been in the news lately? Something we could tie this into some loose fashion. Let's see. Airline kicks off passenger due to overbooking. Passenger returns in bloodied, concussed state. That sounds hilarious and not at all horrifying. I'm sure we can do something with that. Do you need to get to your destination but have found your destiny overbooked? Then create a beautiful new website with Squarespace. With Squarespace domains, there are no hidden fees and no complicated setup, so you can reserve your place in history and never be forcefully removed from it. Squarespace, we will reaccommodate your dreams and might not punch you in the face. Something doesn't feel right about that one. I'll put it on the back burner for a while. What else is relevant? What's hip with the kids today? Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Squarespace the Wise? I thought not. It's not a story that Co-optional would tell you. Squarespace was so powerful and so easy to use, it could create a website from professional templates with absolutely no experience required. Squarespace had such knowledge of design, it could even keep the most inexperienced website owners from screwing up thanks to 24/7 support. Squarespace is a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be available with a free trial and 10% off your first order at squarespace.com/cooptional. No. Something about that just doesn't seem to flow very well. It's rough and coarse, maybe even irritating. None of this is working. Perhaps we should try the heartstrings approach. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. Thanks to recent news articles written by the evil old media who are terrified of being driven out of business by Let's Play and dank reaction videos, it is now impossible to make a living on YouTube. Before all of this, a channel this size was struggling to get by as it was. We could barely afford the backup Tesla, essential for when the other Tesla doesn't match today's outfits, and petrol prices made the Ferrari prohibitively expensive to drive. But now, the sponsorship is all we have left. Squarespace.com/cooptional is our last lifeline, the only thing keeping us from going under in this cruel, cruel world of internet videos. Please, get 10% off your first order and your free trial, or we may have to sell some of Jen's handbags. Handbags so beautiful, they would be ideally showcased as part of an awe-inspiring gallery on Squarespace. Can you live with that responsibility? Look, here is a picture of a sad dog. This dog is sad because you have yet to make your next move with Squarespace. For the love of dog, start your free trial today at squarespace.com/cooptional. For only you can save young, indescribably wealthy, hardworking YouTubers from the horrific fate that awaits them. Perfect! No one will see through that. It's airtight! What's that, Jeeves? Oh no, I couldn't possibly have the foie gras again. What will the neighbors think? Squarespace, create a beautiful website for any purpose with no experience required. Professionally designed templates give you a solution in just minutes. World-class e-commerce tools and 24/7 support ensure that you'll be up and running in no time at all. Head over to squarespace.com/cooptional for 10% off your first order and a free trial today. Make your next move with Squarespace. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the
-4, -5. I was counting with you.
You're shit! The purpose of the count is to ensure that you shut up, not that you keep talking. And you know this, and you're doing it despite me.
I like that TotalBiscuit's review of WoW Crendor. Your shit. Your shit.
If I had a score system, -4 would be how I describe you.
Dude, I remember the first time TB said anything about me. It was my one video I made like 8 years ago, and he was like, "It wasn't complete shit," and I was like, "He likes me."
-4 gives you gout and syphilis.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought that'd be like a -2.
Oh yeah, 4 is like
pretty bad.
ass herpes. Yeah.
Right up in there. Incidentally, so I was looking through the Dark Souls box, and I found the big stuff. I missed that. So, here's a kind of regular-sized dude. It's like, all right, cool. And here's the sort of big kind of scarier dude.
I could have been an onion.
And then there's like, oh hi, I am fucking what? Smog? Executioner Smog, possibly?
Yeah.
Look at the fucking
It's
size
like
of
an
that fucking thing. Holy shit. Oh my
Sure,
god.
that sounds right.
And this gargoyle
Look
right
at
here.
this, dude.
Look at this. Look at
Wowee.
the fucking gargoyle. Holy shit, look at the size
Holy
of that
shit.
motherfucker. Yeah.
That's a gargoyle.
That's a motherfucker.
Yep.
Yes.
Wait, is this the onion?
Do we have onion?
I don't think it's the onion, but he's similar-ish. That's not the onion.
Yeah, that's. Oh man.
But
He's a little blurry, but he could be if we believe hard
He's-
enough.
I was
he's
gonna
kinda
say
fat.
it's hard to tell. You
It's
can't
coming.
quite see the onion
Doesn't really
helmet.
have that little onion
with the
blur
blur.
on the top.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
Isn't
Maybe
this
he's gar-
isn't
maybe he's
isn't she
garlic.
from 3? Isn't she the
Yeah, the slanky lanky lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's-
Lanky
Slanky
Kong.
lanky lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lanky
That's her
Kong.
name, Slanky Lanky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lanky Kong.
Yeah.
Lanky Kong.
Yeah,
That's
these-
actually one of the
these
coolest
are-
fights in 3.
Pretty legit. Yeah, I mean, I love the way she looked and like the gear that you could get as well. The dancer, yeah, that's her name. Cool shit. Yeah. Yeah, so lots of really nice models in there, no doubt about it. Fucking well better be, considering how much it costs. Holy fuck. Not cheap. Not cheap.
I can't wait to
Persona
see how
5.
it plays.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Persona 5. I haven't gone
It's
too far
super
into
fun.
it, but
I have.
yeah.
Let's talk.
Let's talk and try not to spoil it.
Yeah.
I think I'm coming to the end of the arbitrary 2 or so hours of having basically no control or freedom over anything you do whatsoever. Hi, we're a Persona game bit.
Oh, you mean the what happened to our school? That kind of it?
Basically, yes, that bit.
Okay.
I've gone
Oh,
through the
okay.
what happened to our school and kind of escape from the first interaction with a evil shadow in underpants bit.
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it took me, I think, I want to say 6 hours before I got to just like normal gameplay mode. But I enjoyed every minute of it. I was totally fine with it taking that long because I think the way that it unraveled stuff made a lot of sense.
It does it
Uh,
over time. Yeah.
mhm.
And it teases a little bit of it. Like, you know, in the first like 5 minutes of the game, it lets you do a couple of fights. And lets you do a little bit of not so
The-
much dungeon crawling,
oh
but moving through stuff. And then it's like, yeah, cutscenes,
What is
running
this
to
crazy
places.
app on my phone? Yeah, that's
Uh,
pretty much the entire beginning
I
of the
keep
game.
deleting the app on my phone and it doesn't go away. Why doesn't it go away? And it's like, yeah, I remember the good old ignore the obviously weird, you should totally pay attention to this
And
trope.
for some reason, glows the only app on your phone that glows and keeps showing up.
I should reboot my phone.
God, I deleted this. Like,
How
oh,
many
no.
fucking anime or video games have fallen down that particular trope?
Oh,
I mean, to be fair, I would just assume that there was something weird on my phone downloading an app I didn't want.
all right.
Yeah,
I've
you
never
reboot that
played.
factory
I've never
settings.
played any of these games. This looks like an anime the game to me when I look at the trailers of all of it.
Well, I mean, there is an
Look,
anime
you're not
of
wrong.
it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But this one is like really fucking fun though. Like
It's
this
so good.
is a lot of fun.
I think I'm coming up on 20 hours. I'm getting close to the 7/7, July 7th when
Yeah.
all streaming is banned. So I'm like,
Indeed.
what happens on July 7th? I gotta know. But I love that game. Every time I have a spare moment, I'm like, I just want to fucking play Persona 5 right now.
I
So
haven't got
fun.
to that point yet. A lot of it is probably down to the fact that the last Persona game I played was entirely portable. So
Yes.
it was very easy to play it like every waking moment.
Mhm.
But the lack of a portable version means that it is a bit more restrictive, which
That
is
fair.
unfortunate.
I can't take it to bed with me, which
Mhm.
sucks. But
Yeah, that's probably
Should
why I
be on
haven't
the
put,
Switch.
it's probably why I haven't
Should be
put
on the
40 hours
Switch.
into it yet.
Yeah, so Crendor, none of these games, it's kind of Final Fantasy style. You can play any of these games basically on their own. There's very minimal crossover if it exists at all. Persona 5 so far is very standalone. So I think that it's a good entry Persona game if anybody wanted to like start playing them.
I did
And-
hear the tutorial's like 8 hours.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they spend
real?
they spend hours
Yes and no.
establishing the story.
Yeah, it's not a tutorial. It's
And-
like it's story.
It's not a
building.
tutorial per
Because-
se. It basically, it's very, very on rails for a long time. Every Persona game's kind of been like this in the
Yeah.
sense that it's going to tell you what to do. You're going to go do it, and there's no leaving that beaten path yet. Like, it takes
Right.
a while for things to fully open up and give you the freedom that the game usually gives you.
But I think it's still even that amount of time that it spent doing all of that stuff. I thought it was so fun because like Persona 4 opened up so boring. Like the beginning
Oh,
of
it did.
Persona 4 was so fucking boring,
Yes.
and it did the same thing. At least with this one, from the get-go, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah,
like
it
stuff's
throws you
happening.
right in.
Yeah.
Like, not only with a little bit of gameplay, it foreshadows a shit ton, whereas the Persona
Yeah.
4 really didn't. Persona 4 was very much arrive in sleepy old village, talk to family for foster family for God knows how long.
Yeah,
Go to
seriously,
school.
Persona 4 was basically the beginning of every Harvest Moon game.
Mm.
And it's like this isn't Harvest Moon. Why are we doing this? So
Persona 5 does drop you in it quite early, and then it pulls it back from that, but because it's giving you that taste, that kind of drives you on to like, well, how the fuck did we get here? It's one of those good old kind of like start from the beginning kind of story arc things where it's like some of this stuff's already happened, so you've got to
Right.
go back and learn how it got there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
but sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say, like, I think what's interesting is that because you were so on rails at the beginning, it doesn't give you that what I do in most RPGs, which is now I'm going to power level the shit out of my character and destroy stuff.
You can't.
So the second boss, literally, that was the long. I think it was like the Madarame Castle or whatever it was called, Palace,
Mhm.
whatever.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that shit. I was like,
It took me without spoiling anything about like
what the
that
boss
story
yeah,
at all. Yeah. That boss took me like 7 tries, and it
couldn't do
wasn't
it.
until I was like, I need to mix up my composition. I need to change some set. Like once I did that, I beat him okay. But because I was in this zone of like, no, I have my best people, and I'm gonna like, you know.
Nope. You probably don't have the right elements, you don't have the right combinations. It's like, I want to stick with my waifus. Nope. Game says nope.
But
Yeah.
they're all my waifus. What
Yeah,
to do?
And that's the best way to treat it, because if you do stick with the same people throughout a dungeon, you're probably going to get royally fucked for it. Persona does like to try and force you into not doing that.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about how this game has the best fucking music?
Soundtrack. I knew you were gonna say that. The
It's
music
so
is so
good.
good.
So far, I don't know, because between
What?
3, 4, and... Look, I still think 3 and 4 are neck and neck in terms of great music. 5 hasn't shown me anything yet that's been like, this is an earworm, and I'm never going to forget this theme, and... Like,
Oh, man.
You know what? It's kind of disappointed me, is the end of battle victory theme isn't memorable.
Really? Because that gets stuck in my head all the time. That
It just it obviously hasn't got its claws in me yet. I haven't got
the
to that point.
look of the game when you like finish a battle, the way that they do the whole like, here's what you got out of it.
Oh,
I'm always
God,
just like,
the
I'm such a
aesthetic.
fucking badass. Like
The
you feel
aesthetic
so cool.
is the coolest aesthetic I've seen since like Jet Set Radio. Like
Yeah,
it is
it's great.
so stylish. The way that it breaks the menus down, and the way that when you access the menu, like menu kind of twist out of here and come out of here, and it's so dynamic. It feels great. And weirdly enough, that actually does help there's still turn-based battles, but even then, it feels like the battles are just that little bit more kinetic, because even the menus are contributing to the attack, instead of selecting something from a menu, like you select the thing, it's like, it's like all the way over here, and then you go and like smash them out a bit. It's like this almost ephemeral aspect of motion that's always happening in that game. It is so cool.
But the
Yeah.
music, though, the bass line and all the music, it's like, like, I love it.
I know, Persona
love
3
it.
has some fucking awesome music, and so does Persona 4, so it's going to have to work pretty hard to
Right.
beat that.
to
My
win your heart.
PS4 theme is straight up just Persona 5 right now. It's the Morgana theme. It's the cat.
Oh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
My-
Wanted to ask. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Persona 5 has been delayed quite a bit, right?
Yep,
Yes.
over a year.
Quite a few times.
Do you
Worth it,
guys
though. Totally worth it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, does the delay warrant
delay every game ever? Like, I don't. No, seriously. Like, the people that complain about delays are the kind of people that let themselves get overly hyped up for shit and then get disappointed when it's not as good as they hope it will be, which is illogical. If you really hope it's going to be the best that it could be, delay it as long as it fucking needs to be delayed. You don't want it coming out early and being shit.
Yeah.
Just play something else. There are so many good video games right now. You could wait for this one. Play something else.
It was worth it. It's worth every delay, whatever they did in order to delay it, whatever they fixed and made better. It's a genuinely good RPG. Like, it's phenomenal. And I don't say that about a lot of JRPGs, but like, dude.
Well, I mean, it's one of the only JRPGs that I've enjoyed. You know, it's that Persona 4 and Dragon Quest 8. And that's like it. You know, I'm not into JRPGs. Persona, Crendor, you mentioned earlier, it's like, this looks like every anime. Yeah. You could get that idea, but Persona's interesting because it's a JRPG with really interesting dungeon design and bosses that are based on these kind of almost extreme abstracts of people's personalities. Like, it's like, this is, usually the bosses are like, this is an aspect of someone's persona taken to this horrific extreme and turned into like a monster and this crazy fucking design in that. But all of these games also have this kind of social game aspect to them, where you're trying to build friendships with people and increase your social link. But in doing that, you also power them up, because all of your powers are through your relationships with people and your personas and their personalities and helping them overcome their personality flaws and shit.
Yeah, because the whole idea is like by having a stronger relationship with other people, you as a person grow. And so it makes you like stronger because your persona is a representation of your inner self. So if your inner self is stronger and knows more types of people and learns new things, then it like makes you a stronger person just in general. So it's kind of like a cool way to justify that literally like half of the game is completely social and half of the game is completely battles.
Dungeon crawling.
And it meshes really, really well. It's like the only game that's ever been able to do that, where I'm not like, I'm wasting time. The world is falling apart. I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, for me, I felt that in particular. You know, I also like games that have a sort of realistic time constraint on stuff. And the way that game works is it has a schedule. There are weekends, but you have to go to school, and school doesn't just fucking wait for you. It's like, I'm gonna go battle in this mystery television realm or whatever. It's like, school ain't gonna fucking wait for you. You gotta
no, you're gonna wait until after school, and you might need to do a test.
Yeah, you got exams. You gotta go fucking do revision for your exams. You gotta study, and if you do badly, that's gonna affect you. And it's balancing this. It's balancing the mundane with the absurd, and like the comparison of the two. I think I said this about Persona 4, and I say it again about this. Like the whole dungeon crawling and the whole aspect of your persona is so fucking out there and crazy and stylish compared with your mundane, boring fucking school life. The two play off each other really, really well, and all of the regular stuff that you do, you know, in Persona 4, like, it's like, hey, it's like summer break, so we're gonna go to the seaside and all that kind of thing. You know, all of that is kind of heartwarming, but also necessary. Like, you're watching the development of a group of young adults, and through their development, they're also becoming superpowered fighting machines in a dungeon, and there's something about that is just compelling to me, that works. Because normally that kind of shit would put me off. You know, the whole Japanese high school thing, it's like, I'm 33. It's very hard to relate to that, but the way Persona does it, because I think it ties the mundane with the absurd, I think it works super well. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say, and Dodge is probably going to agree with me on this one. And this is coming from someone who is, you know, kind of a secret weeb. You know, that likes some anime. Weeb. You know, the phrase that I came up with, that myself and Xavier Woods came up with, I'm a hypocritaku. And I like certain kinds of anime, but only certain kinds.
Right.
Japanese voices. Turned them on as soon as I got the option to do so. I gave it a chance, and I couldn't handle the English dub. And a lot of people are saying the English dub's amazing. It's like, no, it is not.
I mean, I think it's fine, but I think the Japanese voices are better.
Here's the thing. As a person playing through it with the English dub on, I might be one of 3 people in the entire world doing this. For the most part, the main characters are acceptable,
Mhm.
but many of them, the voices do not like. I don't picture that voice coming out of that face, and it
No.
drives me crazy.
And
And
I
there's sometimes where it just immediately I'm like, it takes you out of the game. You're like, fuck.
I think it's
what?
also because Persona is so embedded in Japanese culture that to have an English voice actor saying those words, using those names, using the honoraries, doesn't sound right. It sounds.
Oh my god! Every time they use the
contrived.
honorifics, it feels weird. It just feels weird. I don't know why.
What
one
really
of the
bothered me
things
as
you're missing-
well is the I don't know if you've noticed this. Maybe what I noticed more than anything is not the main characters' voices. It's the voices you hear while you're
Side
running past people. Yes, side characters, because you run around in the world, you overhear what people are saying, and that's
Yeah,
actually
you can
a key.
like listen to whispers and listen to conversations as you're walking by.
And shit
if
that you
want
hear
to.
around. If you think that Mass Effect Andromeda does this badly, this is way worse. Way, way worse. Like the incidental dialogue in the English dub at Persona 5 is awful. And it takes you completely out of it, in my opinion.
Also, I have major issues with Justine and Caroline. They're or Justine or whatever the hell they like. The way their English voices are, I am not a fan. But that's
Okay,
just me.
here's the thing. They were the ones that made me switch because I was like, I'm okay with these English voices so far. They're like, you know, for the most part, they're all right. And then the first time that I heard them talk, I was like, this is the most obnoxious. Like, I think Caroline specifically, I
haven't
was
got
like,
to
you
them
are
yet.
actually the most obnoxious person I've ever heard in my life.
I
I
tapped
heard her
out.
talk twice, and I was like, I'm getting a Japanese voice. I can't do
Yeah.
this. But her voice is still fucking obnoxious in the Japanese. Like,
Oh, no.
they told the girl to basically mimic the tone of the
But she got
Japanese voice, and she nailed it.
Oh.
It's identical.
So she was annoying in the first place.
Not
It's
like
not
it.
the English VO's fault. She actually did exactly what she was
She
supposed to
did
do.
it's the same. They're identical.
Ah!
Yeah, I just think those 2 characters, I fundamentally am like, God, I hate you.
I don't know why
So
they're
much.
there.
I want the process of like having a vocal director go in there and be like, so here's what they did in Japan for this, and now we're gonna do our version of it. Like, I'd love to see that process because
Well,
man,
and there's
It's
Yeah.
got to be so
there's a lot of-
difficult to balance.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
voices that are just I think that's one of my biggest issues is just some of the voices. I'm like, it's like when you hear someone on the radio and then you see them for the first time, you're like, that is not how you're supposed to look. Like,
Yeah.
this is how I feel with this game.
Yeah.
Is that there's a lot of voices coming out of people that when you're looking at them, they're like, there's no way you're even built to sound like that. Like you don't even have that shouldn't be
Yeah.
how you talk. Like stop it.
I'm not okay with how Igor sounded as soon as he opened his mouth.
Yes,
That
he does
bothered
not
the hell
sound
out of
right.
me.
But that's because the VO died.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
the original
really?
Igor, the original Igor died, unfortunately.
I think I got that information.
I
from
think
Kristen.
you're right on that. I heard that too. I'm
Huh.
gonna Igor actor. Yeah,
Yeah,
he died.
Kristen, did the Igor actor die? The Japanese one
Yes.
died, and that's why they changed it.
Yeah, the
Right.
Japanese VO for him died several years ago. Bear in
Yeah,
mind,
'cause
like
he
I,
definitely sounds different.
yeah, I played Persona 4, and I played Persona 4 with just Japanese VO on, so that was like my first exposure to Igor, and then hearing that, it's like, wow, this is just completely different. Good lord.
Mm.
But it's interesting to hear some people complained about some localization issues with this game. Like, I haven't seen anything that would bother me to the point. Localization is such a tricky fucking issue because there are some things that you probably need to change to make sense in the context of the English subtitles or indeed the English VO, because it simply wouldn't sound right otherwise. There are stuff that does not have a direct translation, and there's a lot of stuff that requires some knowledge of the cultural context.
Yo,
That all of
shout
this is
out
being brought up
to Jirard. You probably know this name. Alexander O. Smith was the guy who, for a long time during the heyday of SquareSoft, he was the guy who did the translations for those games, like early and like Vagrant Story and things like that. And he's that guy who,
Phoenix Wright, yeah.
yeah. And what he did is he did his translations were, I'm not gonna one for one this thing. I'm going to take
It's
the
impossible.
essence of what they're doing and then tell a story based on that. And so he
Mhm.
never did all the things that they would do. He was always that guy who was like, let me
I'm
tell an
gonna
American
interpret it.
story and a Western
This-
story.
But then people
This
people
guy-
complain about that. You know, that's a big issue. Obviously, the Fire Emblem localization had a huge number of issues, but that went even beyond that. That went down to the fact that some of it was just gibberish. You know?
Right.
Final Fantasy VIII was definitely not one of my favorites because of the translation. Like, that's a game that I did a lot of research on because I wanted to, because everyone told me, oh, the English translation to 8 is so weird and not right. And you know, when Squall would say something intriguing, he would say ... and it's like, I can't believe that they would try and emote that as much, but in the Japanese version that wasn't really a thing. So yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's, I think, and there's, again, goes back to those two schools of thought on things. Like, either you give people the exact thing they want, or you give something for a general public. So I understand Final Fantasy VIII because Squall can ... because Squall becomes all of us at that point.
Right.
He's what we're thinking, not what Squall is thinking. And so, but of course, no one's ever going to be happy all the time with this stuff. So it's just a weird game creating thing.
What did you guys name yourselves?
I named him Jesse Cox because I have no imagination and wanted to see me bone that blonde girl. Real talk, blonde pigtails. I was like, yo, Jesse Cox gonna bone town that girl.
I just used my real name, whatever.
I couldn't, because then it wouldn't make sense.
What's
with
your
all
name,
the other
Dodger?
Japanese names.
I just got scolded for trying to bone that girl. She's like, she's pure. How dare you? Sorry.
She is pure.
Oh no, my waifu is being defiled.
My name in game is Masano Kyoto.
You fucking weeb. Sounds
Jesse
like
Cox
cultural
is really out of
appropriation
place,
to
let me
me.
tell you.
I bet. It's odd. He looks nothing like the Jesse Cox that I know. It's very strange.
But deep inside in my soul, I'm a very tall, glasses wearing anime boy who just wants to get through all those fucking train stations and subways. Goddamn. I get so lost.
Why don't you just use the fast travel?
I know that's what I do, but when they
Okay.
make you have to do it at the beginning,
But initially, you can't do that. It's like, there's about 20 exits here. Let's go to all of them. It's like, no, it isn't this one. We need to go to another one.
You know what? Thank God for that, or I would have
Jesus.
gotten to school the first day.
Yeah, no chance. You wonder why they corral you so much? That's fucking why. The town area, from what I can tell, seems like it's way larger than Persona 4's. There's a lot of complexity to it. Because Persona 4 was small town. This is fucking Tokyo. They're fucking around.
They literally swapped it. He comes from a small town and moves to a city.
Yes. Yeah. I'm interested to see where it goes. It's about getting the time to sit down and play it.
Dude, you need to. I'm telling you, it gets.
I wish there was a way to play it portably. Apparently, remote play is just so shit that it's not even worth trying that. I was thinking about using remote play to do it, maybe getting a PS TV, which, by the way, is a great way to play Persona 4 Golden on the cheap if you don't want to buy a Vita.
Hell
just
yeah.
Get a PS TV and just use that.
PS TVs are dirt cheap nowadays. No,
$50.
Yeah,
they're good.
Peasy.
They're really good. Can you play? I don't know if it lets you do the PSP games on that as well, but one of the main selling points for me was with a Vita is that you could get all of the old PSP games on it.
And
a lot of them are really good. Vita's a great console. If there was any justice in the world.
It's whatever's available on the PSN store, because obviously you can't stick a UMD inside of a PS TV.
No, you can't. But honestly, the PS Store has most of the PSP games, though. All the ones that really matter for the most part.
Yeah.
It's nice. I don't know. It's tricky. I'll come up with some weird fucking wildly expensive Hackintosh way of doing it. It's like, yeah, I did it, guys. It's only cost me $3,000. Oh, Jesus. But yeah, I want to play more, definitely. Really intrigued. Okay. What else is there? I'd like to talk a little bit about Battle Brothers. Can I talk about Battle
I saw you playing that, and it looked fun.
Sure.
Yeah. I had this game on my radar a little bit. Sinvicta had played a bunch of it and said it was really good. It actually came up when we went to Valve. Robin Walker, during the meeting, one of the guys who was in the meeting with him pulled up his Steam account, and Robin's like, I noticed you haven't got Battle Brothers installed. What did I say about that? So apparently he's on a bit of a personal internal crusade to get everyone in the company to play Battle Brothers. I'm like, well, that's a ringing endorsement.
Is this a tower defense?
No, not at all. Tactics.
Okay.
Tactics game. So this is about as close maybe to Mountain Blade crossed with Game of Thrones crossed with FTL that you could probably get.
I just want to point out for the record, there is a game called Battle Bros. That is a tower defense. So that
not the same thing.
Battle
Yeah,
Bros.
That's
Not
why.
at all.
Not at all the same thing.
I was like, why the fuck is TB playing this? Never
No.
mind.
I love Battle Bros.
Yeah, the Battle Bros. Battle Brothers tactics game. So you start off where the start of the game, pretty much everyone dies every single time, by the way, on
Great.
purpose. You are the guy who becomes the captain of a mercenary company after everybody fucking dies. You've got no money. You got shitty equipment. You're expected to somehow survive in some way and make something of yourself. And it's very tricky. Your characters can die very easily, very XCOM-like in that respect. And you can work on a guy for ages. You can get him leveled up. You can get him the best gear. And he might just have his head chopped off. Because, it's a mercenary company. It's real fighting. It's grim. It's dark. It's gritty. And if he doesn't get his head chopped off, he might lose an arm or some shit, get a permanent wound. There's been a little bit of Darkest Dungeon in there for good measure, because morale is a big deal. I've noticed an effective tactic of scaring the enemy is to decapitate one of them. And that scares everyone else.
What?
Yeah. One of my guys has a Kopesh, which is like that kind of curvy sword, and one of the moves is a decapitation move. So if I chop off like their leader's head, and their leader's head then bounces around on the floor everywhere and spurts blood and gets all over them, they get kind of scared by that, as it turns out.
Holy shit.
So that's pretty legit. But outside of that, it's a hex-based tactics game where you're riding around the world trying to get contracts and make people trust you, hire new mercenaries, but also feed them. Make sure you've got enough medical supplies. Make sure you've got enough tools to fix their gear, because your armor degrades in battle. So your shield breaks, you gotta fix it, Your armor wears down from being hit, all that kind of shit. And broken weapons don't really work very well. It's really fucking cool. It's very compelling. It's extremely difficult. But it's one of those games, like kind of Darkest Dungeon, where having guys die is part of the fun.
Mm.
Like getting really invested in the character and then having him get his head cut off or die in a valiant defense or something is a cool story in and of itself. And
It's like Blood Bowl, the Legends.
sort of, but a lot less RNG bullshit. There's definitely some dice rolling going on in it, but there's a lot less, oh, I sprinted a little further than I could have, and now I tripped over and broke my neck and died. A bit more like XCOM. What I like about it as well is it's low fantasy. So there's stuff like orcs and skeletons and stuff, but you can't use magic. You're using regular ass weapons. There's no, I have an enchanted fiery sword of orc slaying bullshit. It's like, no, you're a regular mercenary company. A pitchfork is a weapon. Not a bad one either. Jesse, your character is Jesse the Poker. And he's been poking people for quite some time. He's a backline fighter. He uses a pitchfork. So you use like very often shitty weapons. Like my two-handed axe guy, his main weapon was a woodcutter's axe because he was a fucking forester. He was a lumberjack before he came on to the mercenary company and shit. And everyone has their own little backstories, and that affects
That's cool as
how
shit.
well they perform. Yeah, it's
And you can name everyone? Like, that's
Absolutely.
just
Yep. There's even a barber you can go in. Let me tell you the story of Jirard the Bearded, mightiest of warriors, who fell in battle next to the murder tree. The murder tree, the double-edged sword, the most fickle of mistresses.
Sure.
For Jirard was a level 4, two-handed axe-wielding ox of a man. Upon visiting Heimdall, we extended the size of his beard and colored it blue. For we believed that this truly would be a representation of what Jirard is inside. Not outside, but inside. His true persona.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say,
time-
are we talking about Persona again?
Indeed, that we might be getting back to that. Time after time in battle he led his men and proved himself. And his favorite stratagem, unknown to his enemies, was that of the murder tree. For you see, he would bring his mighty two-handed woodsman's axe, and he would stand next to the largest tree on the battlefield. The tree that he would designate the murder tree. And the foolish enemy, they would come one by one. They would circle the murder tree. And Whack! Atop their head, down, cleaved in twain would they be, as Jirard brought down his mighty
Wait, he
woodsman's
climbed
axe.
the tree, and that's where he fought?
No, he stood next to the tree, forcing his enemies to circumnavigate the tree, upon which they would be ambushed with the mighty
How big is
downward
this fucking
swing.
tree?
It's
They
a
didn't
big
kill him,
fucking
they were
tree.
like, over
A
the
very
side.
large tree. It took up at least one hex. One mighty hex was the murder tree. But one day, that fickle mistress who had brought Jirard so much success on the battlefield, that had engorged his legend to mighty, engorged levels. I didn't script this. You probably could guess.
Sure.
But
liking
one
where this
day,
is going.
the murder tree did turn upon him. For around the tree, Jirard perceived another victim, but not a victim, no. For this was to be his end. For the murder tree was not kind that day. The downward swing, it did miss. The follow-up downward swing, it once again missed.
He got two swings up and missed both?
And Jirard,
Wow, dude.
he turned to the tree and said, "Tree, murder tree, why have you forsaken me?" The murder tree did not reply, and he was cut down without mercy, left to bleed, and his blood did feed the murder tree in some fashion.
Circle of life. That's
Indeed.
circle of life right there.
Yeah.
Murder tree
It
gets
did.
you.
It did fertilize the soil around the murder tree forevermore. And Jirard would fall unceremoniously on the battlefield, and we would learn never again to trust our stratagem to the murder tree, for the murder tree is fickle and lies. And probably didn't help all that much, all things considered. So ends the legend of Jirard and the murder tree.
Mm.
That was a
Wow.
pretty good story.
We
That was
got
beautiful.
we hired another guy called Jirard II, dressed him up just the same as you, and he died the first battle, like straight
No!
away. Like,
You named the guy Gerard the Second.
I know, I
Yeah.
named him Jirard II. He
Destined
died
to die.
immediately.
Did he have
Uh,
any sons for Jirard III?
I think we're just gonna leave that now. Like 2 in a row, it's probably not gonna happen. Like it's, it was ugly, yeah. But I think like naming your characters is half the fun in games like
Yeah,
that.
for
Oh,
sure.
Shit like
Yeah.
Darkest Dungeon and XCOM, yeah, because you get all those wonderful little stupid ass stories out of it. It's good fun. It's cruel though. There's no doubt about that. Like you can fuck up, and the battles, for the most part, you've just got to be careful. You got to learn how things work. Like you can use. It doesn't have cover like XCOM does, but you can do shit like set up a shield wall. If your guy's got a shield, you can select the shield wall skill, and if more people stand in line with the shield wall, it buffs everyone else in the wall and shit like that. Obviously, archers aren't very good at shooting over obstacles. You could put archers on high ground to get extra aim and shit. It's really fucking awesome. It's got a lot going for it. And like, if you liked the experience of Mountain Blade, where you start with fucking nothing and you want to build up that legendary mercenary group, the game's got a lot of that going for it.
Sounds fun.
Cool.
I might
Yeah.
play that.
You should give it a try.
Sounds
Definitely
like
give
a
it a try.
fun stream game too.
That's
I
exactly what
agree.
it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone
like-
seemed to enjoy watching it.
I feel like Sam would be the person to just embrace the shit out of that game.
It might be.
Sam will embrace any game
Mhm.
as long as he can play it for like 12 hours straight
Jesus
on like a
Christ.
normal day. Like it's just ironic how a lot of people are like, yeah, we're doing a special 12-hour stream today, and then Sam's like, yeah, I did 12 hours again, 5th time this week.
He's a
Like-
machine. He's a video game machine.
There's
Isn't he
no
obsessed
way-
with the whole GTA
there's no way
roleplay
he's
shit at the
human.
moment? There's no way to play a
Say-
real game.
Say that again.
Isn't he obsessed with the GTA roleplay shit at the moment?
He's not doing that right now. He's been
Ah,
playing
okay.
Tokiden for like 13
Oh,
hours.
yeah,
every
yeah. He
day.
was saying, like,
He's
why is no
playing
one else playing
Tokiden.
Tokiden? It's like, because we have a show to do, Sam. We got real work to do. We like Tokiden. We played Tokiden like last week. You could have played with us, damn it.
Dude, he's always looking for people to play with because he keeps getting in groups with little babies, little
No
baby
big
hunters.
surprise. Yeah.
and-
Listen, we were playing it all the first day because Sam found it, and I enjoy those games for a little bit. And then it hits that point where I'm like, I
They don't want to
don't.
play anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we killed all the bosses. Now we got to go do this boss 5 more times so that we get 10 more wings off it. And I'm like, I don't care anymore.
This is WoW at that point. It's like, this is why I left WoW, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, Sam like finished the whole single player story. And so now he's just constantly doing multiplayer, either with whoever he can convince to play with him, or with just randos, and the randos are always like either incredible or fucking horrible.
That's one of the problems with games like
Just
that. Because especially if you want to play with your friends, if like one guy gets behind, like it's really hard to catch up.
Well,
It's
that's
like,
part
well,
of
we
the
want to do
problem.
this
Like, you
battle.
just
It's
got to
like, well, I
progress
don't
through
have
the
the
single
gear for
player.
it. I'm not good at it.
You had to progress through the single player to get stuff in the multiplayer, which was like, it seemed dumb. So we kept being like, oh, we could go to the bathhouse soon. And they're like, not until you do 3 single player things.
Oh,
and I'm like,
man.
oh, I don't want to do that.
I don't like the separation between those two things.
Yeah.
Because some people just want to do multiplayer shit. So
Yeah.
getting bound into that is a bit, I don't know about that. What else has everyone else been playing this week? Someone's going to have
Can we
something that
talk
isn't
about
Yooka-Llaylee.
the new Overwatch update?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. I
yeah.
haven't touched that.
I was
So
I was
good,
actually
y'all.
gonna keep that for the news. If
Oh.
Oh,
can we
Uh,
get
But
that?
is it
Oh.
news, or is it something that you should have been playing?
Well, I mean, didn't the trailer for that just come out like 2 days ago?
It's already like the game. It's already in the game.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
we
already play
could,
it.
sure, I guess, if you
Got
want.
that sexy Genjo skin.
Yo.
Everybody's very excited.
So straight up, it is like a new mode that actually has a story and a cutscene and like interaction between characters, and it's so much fun. And it actually is what I always wanted in Overwatch, and I'm so thrilled. And if anything, I believe they're starting to find stats or starting to get stats now that people enjoy that more than the actual base game.
This is going to turn into a StarCraft 2 co-op situation, isn't it? Where people are playing more with co-op now than they are the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah,
to be fair, that'll be a reason to get me to come back and play a bit of Overwatch. It's kind of the same as with Hearthstone, where they've gone completely the wrong direction with this, where adventures would bring back casual players. Like, because adventures were really fun, and they were story-driven and had a bunch of new fights. And now they decided, we're not doing adventures anymore, we're just going to do these giant fucking ass pack releases and big expansions. And a lot of people are now complaining that the game is too expensive now. It's like, keeping up is nigh on impossible.
Yeah, I don't know why they got rid of the adventure things.
I don't
Those
know
were-
either.
They were fun.
I haven't played since the last adventure. Real talk.
Yeah.
I haven't either,
Granted,
actually.
Ungoro cards, top tier
I'm
RNG
told
fun.
they're good. I'm told that Ungoro cards are
Legit.
fun.
Yeah,
But-
they are pretty fun.
But they seem like it's becoming so expensive for people to keep
It
up with
is.
that game.
Yeah,
at this
it's
point.
becoming very expensive. Where like, it's just I'll like make a deck and then people are like, I wish I could have those cards, and I'm like, yell at them, don't yell at me.
Yeah, I used to get people mad, like that doing a stupid gimmick deck was like almost insulting to them. It's like, yeah, you fuck around with this dumb fucking deck and I can't even have half these cards, you fucking, like, whoa.
Damn.
I mean, for a long time, honestly, I was only coming and playing the weekly tavern brawls because I was just kind of sick of it. And
That's all I do up
Them-
until an expansion hits.
canning adventures is one of the reasons why I wouldn't do it. But you're saying, this new Overwatch content, it seems like they're gonna do more of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Describe, like, to someone who hasn't played it, because I haven't touched it. I don't think
Sure.
I have Overwatch installed right now. What is it? And, is it a good example of what they're trying to do? How are they going to do it better? How often would they maybe do
You know
things
the
like this in the
TF2,
future?
what's it called? The Machine War? What's it-
Man versus machine.
Yeah, it's like that, except they added some story to it.
Okay.
Essentially, it is Tracer's first mission with original Overwatch, and it's in the past, and you play as Mercy, Reinhardt, Tracer, and Torbjorn, and you're sent off by Commander Morrison and Anna to go and defeat this attack on London. And also Blackwatch is there, so you get backstory of our dear friend Reaper before he becomes Reaper. And what's interesting is that as you play through this robotic Omnic attack, all these characters, every time you play, there are multiple lines of dialogue that they say to each other. So every time you play through this, because if you're doing all the achievements and shit, you're playing through it a bunch. You learn new things and you get new aspects of these characters. So it's like story mode-y, and you're like,
That's cool.
yeah. So then they all have different conversations, and even at the get-go, Anna is giving Reinhardt shit. She's like, don't charge in. Reinhardt's like, I wouldn't do that as you're charging into shit. So like, it's really, really, it's super fun. I will say, much like the Halloween event, it is straight up Once you hit that expert level, expert and legendary, it becomes a whole nother thing. You're like, fuck, why is it so hard? So you really have to like step it up. But if you're in it for some achievements or some fun and you just want to dick around, it's super cool. I don't know anything about the limited time stuff of the skins, so I do know you can buy them with gold, so that's good. But again, this is one of those things where they're hitting you with that stuff you can buy, so you know. But the good news is, I think it's really cool, you get loot boxes just for doing this shit, like doing the missions and going back. And then there's a version of it where it's not those 4 characters and you can play as anyone. So that's also really cool. And Bastion is a stone cold killer on that version. Like you just gun down robots and it's amazing. You're like, there can be only one Omnic, and you're just destroying everyone. It's super fun, and it's really interesting to see. They have a cutscene and a story bit to it where they introduce everything. They had a comic release alongside of it that shows the run up to it, and it's like, this is Tracer's first mission, so golly gee. And so all the characters like looking out for her because she doesn't really know what she's doing yet.
I'd argue that most Tracers don't know what they're doing at the best of times.
Yeah.
The idea of like a confused or young Tracer is really cool. Just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm new to the crew. Like that's really cool.
Yeah. She's like, don't worry, you know.
Cheers, love. I'm new here.
Yeah, like Mercy's looking out for her and trying to keep her alive, and she's like, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. And like, it's great. And one of the jokes is one of the parts you have to like. Torbjorn is making the like the movable objective. He's making it, and it takes 4 minutes. And over the 4 minutes, it keeps breaking and being shit. And everyone's just like, "Oh my god, you're the worst at this." It's like, no, I'll fix it. Don't worry, it'll be fine. It's super fun and really silly. And yeah,
and you
it's
play
like,
the actual mode with people, and we get a Tracer who just runs in and dies. And we're like, God damn it, you got to go res them, and they just die again. You're like, oh my god.
And it works really well because you can just R to res someone, but you have to go to them and res them. But at the same time, you're under attack. So you can either be really cool and save someone and like keep going, or you snowball into defeat. Like at legendary level, one death is like, let that person be dead for a little bit, because if you go try to save them, you're all dead. So it's very interesting and cool the way they've done this, and I'm excited to see future adventure modes, I guess you could call it.
Now, if I recall correctly, and maybe I'm misremembering this, it's entirely possible, that back when they first did this with the Halloween thing, Jesse, I asked you, like, if this seemed like a good future for Overwatch, if they, you wanted to bring more stuff like this, and I'm pretty sure you said you kind of didn't think they were going in that direction. Has that opinion changed now?
I mean, I don't look. I say a lot of shit that I don't remember saying, so I'm gonna take your word for this.
Odd, because Coxtradamus always seems to dig up the oldest possible things that he said. So
that's true.
I mean, you don't know if I'm just making shit up, because I know you can't
really
be asked to go back and check.
You could be. I don't know. I don't know.
You're like,
Jesse, you remember when you said that you hated the entire state of Spain? Like,
I remember
specifically
that.
on that episode.
On numerous occasions, I've said that. That's why I remember. No, the reason why I don't remember this, because I don't know that I would have said that, because I kind of enjoyed that mode. I think, if anything, my complaint would be because it was short and it didn't give. It was just like the Castle Junkenstein, and that was it.
That was like just a bit of a throwaway, and that they really weren't like taking it seriously.
Yeah. If they give you more story versions of that and story modes and things that aren't just like, it's May snowball fight, like if they give you real things that, like, this was fun because I like this game because of the characters, and I like the world it's in, and I like that it's this future that, even though fucking robots are destroying everything, it still is bright and colorful and like nice to look at. All the things about Overwatch that I love are in this event, and I just want more of it. And you know what? I'm proud to see statistics saying that everyone enjoys cooperative versions of Overwatch more than PvP. I think that is a good sign for me as a gamer, because that's the shit I love. I love getting some friends and like, let's just fucking kill robots. That shit's so much fun.
If it will keep you off of Heroes of the Storm and the tirades that end up in the support chat every time you and Sir Victor come off a GOQ, that's fine by me.
2.0? Is it going to be great?
It's here. You mean Heroes of the Storm, the exact same game, but we changed the way.
Yeah, we added loot boxes.
We changed the way that you sell things. Yeah. The
Normally
whole thing
when you
is
think
different.
2.0, you think, game changes. massive overhaul.
massive
I was like, oh,
revamp
this
of
might
the
be good. And
store
they're like,
page.
we've
Yeah.
introduced loot boxes. You can get skins.
it.
I'm like,
That's the
all
only
right, what else?
Yeah.
Then I can welcome to Heroes
I mean-
2.0.
All I
was like,
can
oh,
say is
okay.
I am glad that Blizzard has finally seen the light and are turning Overwatch into the Battleborn clone it should have been to begin with. So,
Right.
thanks to them for that. Very much
here's the thing.
appreciated.
Sarcasm and all, I'm with you. I think it's great.
Yeah,
I fucking love it. I'm like,
Again,
yes,
I'd be happy with that. Like, there's some fucking amazing modes in fucking Battleborn that I'd love to have seen moved over to Overwatch, you know, and you could use it now, the whole Omnic, remember the mode where you were feeding the robots to the giant junk robot thing? It's like, I'm going to turn you into office supplies. Ha ha ha. That mode, Meltdown, I think was the name of the mode. I'd love to see that in Overwatch. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, this thing you are literally going round one is you're going down to shut down giant laser turrets that are shooting the sky, so you can have a drop ship come down and drop a thing that then you have to take to the end point, and then you basically fight a room that is 4 Orisas and 2 bastions, which is literally like it's the last King's Row area. So everyone who's played that on PvP knows how much of a clusterfuck that is.
Yeah.
So imagine that with bastions and like
That
all these
sounds
different things.
horrific.
It's super fun to be like, how the fuck do we beat this?
That's great.
I love
I'm into that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
like the biggest problem I've had with Overwatch for the longest time is boring game modes. And if they're gonna try some different stuff with co-op, and if they then take co-op and do a bit of a melding between PvE and PvP, like that's great for me. I'd love to see that. You know, I know people are like, oh, what if it splits the player base? Well, I mean, there's a shit ton of players. And here's the thing, if it's splitting the player base, doesn't that indicate that some of the modes maybe aren't very good? And maybe we
No,
should
real
look
talk.
into that.
So tired of the capture the point. I don't want to capture the point anymore. It's so boring.
I haven't wanted to push the payload or capture the point in 6 months at least. You know, I just have no interest. But I will reinstall the game for this mode. This sounds great.
It's
So
a lot of fun. I'll
when
play
is this-
anytime you want to.
When is this over? Like, do we have a specific end date for it, or is it just gonna be a
There
thing?
is. I do not know what it is right now, but this is a limited event. Which again worries me about the skins, because if it's a limited event, and it's like it's a past and it's a story thing.
You know,
Will
how
they
that shit
ever bring
goes.
it back like a Halloween thing? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So here I am, like, I'm just gonna keep playing, and maybe I'll unlock it by getting the boxes. But just know if I see that date coming up of when it ends, I'm gonna be like, fuck it, here we go, goodbye.
So just get your credit card out.
That
That's it.
thing,
Yeah.
May
We
1st.
done.
Oh man,
Yep.
it's so soon.
Yeah, jump on it now, play it.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
it's fun.
Anything else that anybody else has been playing this week?
I've
that they'd
played,
like to mention.
Oh,
What do you got?
I've played about 25 hours of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds this week.
Oh, Jesus. That game is so fun, though.
It's so fun. It's so much better than all the other ones like H1Z1, because they actually improved upon what those other games did badly.
Well, you
Okay.
see, I'm getting conflicting opinions on this, so I'd like to hear
What?
what you got to say on it as to the idea that one improved on the other, or one just did something a bit different to the other. Like, my understanding of H1Z1 is that it's a much more arcadey kind of version of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and that PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is much closer to the original Armor mod that inspired the whole bunch of them in the first place. And as a result, they could very much be marketed towards 2 different audiences that want 2 different flavors of this battle royale style thing. Would
Yeah, I
you
can
agree
see
or disagree
that.
with that?
But like having played, I never really played Arma that much, so I can't really come at it from an Arma perspective. But I played H1Z1 a lot, and to me, it just feels like a better H1Z1. H1Z1 is very buggy, even though it's been out for a long time.
Yeah.
H1Z1 started as a zombie survival game,
Yes,
and
it
they're
did,
like, "Oh
yeah.
shit, we need to take advantage of the more popular mode."
Which, to be fair, is a reasonable way to do it. You know, cut off the fucking limb before it infects everything else. If there's one part of the game that people are obviously enjoying, there's another part that there isn't, then why the fuck support the other one?
Yeah. And then there's just a lot of little things. Like it actually shows where you are on the map. You can be like, oh, there I am. There's my little cursor thing. I'm here. And in H1Z1, they were, at least when I was playing it, you didn't know where you were. You just had to look at the map and be like, all right, it says H352. I gotta look okay on the map. Okay, I guess I'm around here. They have spectate mode H1Z1, I don't know if they have spectate mode yet, but for the longest time, you couldn't spectate your friend in duo queue if you died. So you just had to sit there and be like, what are you doing? Like,
That's a very dumb omission.
yeah.
That's like
So-
half the fun of Rainbow Six Siege when you get gunned down is watching the other guys, and the tension of that spectating. Can't imagine.
Yeah.
Apparently they've like added that in H1Z1 right now. What really intrigues me is the arms race between these two games at the moment, because I imagine the H1Z1 devs have had to go into fucking overdrive to keep up with, because they have real competition now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they immediately like dropped a patch, I think, right when PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds came out.
Mhm.
They dropped a big patch.
Yep.
So they're very aware.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the numbers at the moment. King of the Kill continues to have the higher concurrence, but right now, at this very moment as this podcast is on, Battlegrounds actually has 82,000 people playing it, and King of the Kill has 68,000 people playing it. But what's interesting, and I wonder if this is a regional difference, King of the Kill at 10 a.m. this morning had 120,000 people playing it, which makes me think that maybe King of the Kill is more popular in Europe and Battlegrounds is more popular in the US.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
intriguing. I wonder if there's an aspect of region. They're not region locked, but that maybe there's a regional preference. But it seems like if you're going to have both of these companies going at it, that's good for everybody, because there's going
Yeah.
to be an arms race, and they're going to be both forced to update frequently and do things well.
Yeah, I'd rather have them both competing than just one dominating the other one, because then it's good for both games. One thing
Yeah.
I also like is they have sometimes you'll get a rain map, and it's actually really cool because it changes the mechanics. Like, you can't hear footsteps as well. So if you're in a house, you just hear rain or thunder, and
Nice.
you're like, I don't know if someone else is here, compared to if you don't get the rain map. So it's cool how they add weather to the same map, but it makes a huge difference, which I've really liked.
Mm.
Interesting. Some people are saying that H1Z1 does very well in China at the moment. Intriguing. Yeah,
Huh.
10 a.m. might make some degree of sense there. Interesting. I wonder, man, if that game becomes the Chinese game and Battlegrounds dominates the English-speaking nations, you'll probably see business model changes for King of the Kill to cater more towards China at that point.
Oh yeah, I actually punched Invicta to death. That was a great moment. I was playing with Gmart,
Oh yeah.
and Sinvicta was playing with Northern Line,
That
and he
explains
landed.
so much about the Chinese market. Thank you.
And Sinvicta was gathering stuff, and I was like, "Oh shit, who would come here?" And it was Sinvicta, and I punched him to death. And then we got killed by Northern Lion, but didn't defeat the fact that
Damn,
I
that is
head punched him.
Amazing.
no, it changes everything.
It
You
does.
punched a guy who was not prepared for it, and his
Oh.
friend came and kicked your asses. That's a great story, actually.
That's one thing. Melee combat in the game, however, is shit. Like shit-tastic
Yes, I agree.
garbage. It needs to be fixed really badly. And there's still some rubber banding and stuff, and they're working on it. And there's definitely been like more cheaters and hackers and stuff as it's went along, and they've said they're trying to fix that as well. But
Yeah.
like, they're going in a really good direction, which is what I like.
Well, I mean, I hope that both games go in a good direction, and then we see other competition come up and do things well, because there's been so many mismanaged titles. The culling was supposed to be the tits, and then it went tits up, and nobody plays it anymore.
Yeah,
And
I
thought-
enjoyed the calling too. But
I'd like to see one that's a bit more like Division Survival, where PvE is a factor in it. Like, that
Mhm.
you're also dealing with PvE enemies and not just other players.
Mm.
No one's really done that yet outside of the Divisions mode. So I'd love to. I would be more into that, honestly. Because it also means that you don't have those extended areas, extended periods of downtime, where it's like, well, I haven't come across a player for 10 minutes, so there's literally nothing to do.
Right.
If there's
Well, that's
PvE
what's
enemies,
nice
there's always
about
something to
this
do.
one. I feel like there's more to loot in this game, so you can spend more of that time looting, and you'll be like, "Oh, I found mods for my gun." While H1Z1 doesn't have mods for guns or anything like that, so they have a better loot table, I think.
Well, a lot of that is still opening boxes. I guess if you like opening boxes, cool.
No, not like opening, but like you find it in the game. You don't get it outside of the game.
I know, you're opening boxes in the game.
But you're not opening boxes just on the floor.
Oh, that's totally different then.
Yeah. Okay.
That changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Listen, if something's in a box, it's harder to see. If it's on the floor, you're like, "Well, I walked in, I got it."
Good to know.
There's a difference.
Can I briefly talk about a game that is part of a genre where every game in it is kind of shit, which is, it's kind of a nice little segue from a genre that now is getting good, that being the kind of battle royale sort of genre. There's still the asymmetric 4 versus 1 multiplayer horror genre.
Okay.
That's still all terrible. Like, I'm talking like Dead by Daylight, to some extent Friday the 13th. There's a game called White Noise 2. There's been a bunch of games before this that were all shit as well, like Damned, and I think, what is it, Haunting Realms or Dead Realms or something. White Noise 2 is a game that we played on Cry's late night stream at the weekend. And it just came out of early access, and it had a ton of positive reviews on Steam. So I'm like, all right, that sounds interesting. Let's see if this is the game that did it right. It's not. It's boring as fuck. So
it's boring, really.
It's really boring. In fact, I think most of these games are boring. I think Dead by Daylight is boring as fuck. And this one is as well, in my opinion. It's a 4 versus 1, so there's 4 investigators and a monster. And there's a few different monsters you can unlock, and they have different powers. And they have to collect 8 videotapes. And then once they've collected 8 videotapes, they have to shatter a bunch of these artifacts and basically get rid of the zombie from our reality. Well, the monster from our reality or whatever. And the monster has to try and kill the whole team. But in this case, if you shine a light at the monster, then the monster will eventually have to teleport away. So the monster has a couple of different magical powers to try and immobilize and scare the enemy and stuff. And you got to try and eat the other players. And if a player dies, you have to come back as a ghost, and you can kind of help the remaining players. So at least unlike Dead by Daylight, where you're sitting there doing literally fucking nothing, you at least have something you can do. You can scout as the ghost, you can make the idols. There's like these totems that you can put up as the monster to scare people. You can try to get rid of them as the ghost. But the game seems impossible to lose unless you are all idiots. If you're playing as the investigators.
Okay.
As I mentioned, you've got to shine a light at the enemy monster to make it go away. And when you do that, the monster's like, the light. And then they eventually teleport away to a random part of the map, and they have to go and find them again. These maps are fucking huge. And it's not too difficult to just shine a light at them. But if you get close to one of the investigators, you start eating them quite slowly. It takes a while to fully eat them. But as soon as you've got light shined on you while you're doing that, you immediately break that attack animation and you stop eating them. So you've done a little bit of damage to them, but the whole thing seems to be this annoying-ass war of attrition. If all the investigators stayed together the way they should, and they shined their lights where they should, and they shared their resources properly, it sounds like it should be impossible to lose.
Right.
As the investigators. And the only time that the monster won was when people were fucking stupid. And what's interesting about the game, or more accurately what's boring about the game, is I'm almost certain the game is deliberately designed to be boring to force you to make a mistake. Seriously.
Like the fear of performing well, like messing up is the point of the game. Like, don't be good and we'll get you.
Yeah, it's more fun if you fuck up, but the process of playing properly is so dull that people stop paying attention, get bored, and do something stupid.
Right.
Like, there's no way you should ever lose cohesion of your group of 4 people. And yet, it happens all the time. Because people they get bored because they're like, oh, we're looking for another videotape and walking around very slowly, looking for batteries for our torches, looking for another fucking videotape. They're like, oh, God, this is dull. And then we're like, where did Cry go? He wandered off over there. It's like, guys, I got bored, so I went over here. And it's like, well, this is the only way that you can lose because you split up from the rest of the group. The game has a shout function for when because you don't have a mini-map, you have like a compass, so you can shout to say where you are, because there's no nameplates or anything, but it's like, you should never need that at all.
Yeah, I'm looking at gameplay right now. Even like when a ghost is around, it's kind of distracting. Like, the ghost shows up and to help, and you're like, are you with me or are you against me? Because you're just kind of hanging out.
Kind of floating around, like, it really is a tedium simulator. You have to resist the urge to do the things which would get you killed, but the things that would get you killed are the only interesting things to do in the game. Like taking risk. Risk is unnecessary from what I can tell. You'd think that'd be like, oh, well, you know, if you're not fast enough, then shit would happen. Like there'd maybe be a time limit on stuff. There isn't. The only effective timer is how many batteries you have for your torches. But batteries are so frequent and easy to find that that's not a factor.
I feel like if you just create like the moving like plus of like 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're shining your light in all directions, like the game's over. Like you're never gonna get wrecked.
You should never lose.
Yeah.
In theory. In theory. But in practice, because people get so bored by the ridiculously dull gameplay, they do end up losing.
Right.
And I just found that hilarious. There was the basic creature. I tried playing him a couple of times, and some of the other guys did as well. And they're like, we don't see a way to win as this monster. Like, you would have to, your enemy team would have to be stupid.
Right.
To actually lose to this guy. There are a couple of other monsters who are a bit more effective, but a lot of it simply seems to be a war of attrition. It's like, all right, I've got to grab some guy. I know I'm not going to kill him, but I whittle down his health just a little bit, and eventually, maybe I'll finally kill him. After grabbing him like 10 or 12 times.
That does not sound fun.
It's not. Not in my opinion. I was hopeful for this one because it had so many positive reviews, but then I'm again reminded that people are stupid. So all of us were just bored by this fucking thing. It's like we're slowly walking around it's looking for pages. It's fucking Slender all over again.
Right, yeah.
You know,
Jesse, I feel like you and I might dig this game for a little bit just because of the scary game squad element. Because
it's like not that scary. Even I don't like horror games, and I wasn't scared by it.
It has the inherent problem with all horror movies. It isn't scary until the kids become idiots and they're like, well, you and I go to the basement and then you two stay up. Like it's an RPG situation where it's like, don't split off from your party, dum-dums.
Yeah.
And once you don't do that, well, then it immediately becomes boring because when the concept is you just shine a light on a thing, you don't have to like actually fight it or trap it or something.
No, you
then
don't.
all you have to do is point in 4 directions and just move together as a group and you win.
Yeah. That literally is it. I wish it was more trap-based and all that kind of thing. And I wish there was just some sort of timer on it. Because games took like 20 to 30 minutes. And it's not like, oh god, my flashlights have run out. Even if your flashlights run out, you have a recharging glow stick. Which does the same thing. Where you can throw like a grenade. But you don't have a limited number of them. They're just on a cooldown. So even if you all ran out of torch batteries, chances are you're going to be able to just survive on those until you find more.
You're right. A timer's needed. There needs to be some mechanic where it's like,
it needs to be like in 20 minutes the summoning is complete. You know.
Yeah. Like it'll
be like a way to raise the stakes. There's just gotta be a way to just make it
that makes you have to run and makes you have to like, you guys have to go that way, we'll go this way, and we got to get this done. Yeah,
you're right. There is totally no escalation, and I find in a lot of multiplayer games, I hate if it has no escalation. You know, I want something to get more and more tense and crazy as it goes on, and it doesn't.
For sure.
Really at all. What would be great? Take the evolve formula. You know, make the monster get more powerful.
You're absolutely right. Like a summoning ritual that's going to take 10 minutes, and the longer you take during this 10 minutes, the more stronger the monster gets. So the closer it gets to the 10-minute mark, now he has all sorts of crazy fucking superpowers.
Yeah.
So you better be running early, which means that you split up early, which means he can take you out early. Like there's
I like that idea.
Options and chances. Yeah.
I almost wish that this was taking place in like an old mansion so that you could accidentally go through like trap doors or like
Resident Evil style old mansion.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Find like a book like if you while you're looking for tapes, like if you pull something wrong off of a shelf, then it'll like spin you around and suddenly you're in another room and like things that force the group to split up.
That's a great idea.
I'm not gonna tell Resident Evil what to do with their franchise. But a straight up 4v1 Resident Evil, like want to use a fucking nemesis dude, and everyone else is like Claire and fucking Ada, and you're just the 4 you have to run around and shit. That'd be the dopest effing game.
Oh god, I'd play the fuck out of that.
I'd love it too if it's like you're like all of you are all 4 together and you start walking, and then like one of like the wooden things below you just collapses, and so now it's like you're split up, like that person's now gone, and oh, by the way, there's monsters down there. So it's like, oh shit, like panic, do something quickly.
Also,
man.
one of the guys should be a traitor. Like from the
Yeah.
start. Like,
Oh,
one of the-
yeah, that'd be
always
cool.
love that
Mister
shit.
Dude.
I know there is a game.
One person is part of the ritual.
Yeah, like they're possessed or something. They're aiding them. They're some kind of
Holy
cultist.
shit.
There
And he
was something we saw on
probably
Steam a few weeks
includes-
ago that was kind of like that, right? Like I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was like one of them you was infected or whatever, and you don't know who. So you got that always watching your back kind of thing. But yeah, I love the way that you're talking about that, like forcing people to separate through level design and having those traps. You could position the traps randomly and all that kind of stuff.
A lot of these games,
Deceit, I think, is the name of that game. I think.
a lot of these games like have too much. Either the boss thing is too strong, or the players are too strong.
Yeah,
And there's
finding
never
that
really
balance
any.
is very hard.
Yeah, there's never really like, environmental interaction, really,
Yeah.
aside from like tweak this machine, and if it explodes, they'll know where you are. Like dumb, really stupid things like that, instead of traps and really
But I think
thought
that'd
out
be
levels.
if you could have a like an insane crazy mansion where at the same time there's the weird spiky rolling thing trap that could kill you, but if you're smart you can lure the monster in there and kill him with it, and like shit like that would be amazing. If you
Yeah.
What
could
about
use-
a dungeon one? Like it was all in a dungeon, and they're like randomized dungeons, and maybe the monster had a mini map, so he knew where to go in the dungeon.
all you
Everybody
need to do
else
is
didn't.
call that like the Minotaur, and there's 4 people.
Yeah, the Minotaur.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I would play
And
the
the
Minotaur.
Minotaur like goes around the labyrinth like fucking killing people.
Well, that kind of
Yeah.
reminds me of
There's your
Zombie
concept.
Master, which is that awesome fucking Half-Life mod where you played it from a top-down perspective as the Zombie Master, and then everyone else was trying to fix the engine to do the thing to escape, and you were spending points to summon different groups of monsters and special monsters, and you could set off traps. That was super fucking fun. They need to make a more
That's-
modern version of that.
That's what that fucking EverQuest game was gonna be, and I'm so
It
sad
was,
they canceled
yeah.
that.
No, the Fable
yeah.
one, right? The
Oh, sorry, yeah,
the
Fable, my
4v1
bad.
Fable one.
Yes,
Yeah, you're
Fable.
totally right. Yeah, I was really disappointed that they canceled that one.
I got a cape from that at E3.
We no, but
And
we
the
played
chicken.
that. Was that not? That was super fucking
It was
fun.
really fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. People are like, oh, why, we just want Fable 4. It's like, no, I actually want something interesting. Fable's never been interesting. What the hell are you talking
I don't
about?
know why they canceled it.
God.
Yeah.
I also just remember they canceled EverQuest too. So like
EverQuest next.
double
yeah.
hit right there. Like ooh.
Or,
Yeah.
the Minecraft EverQuest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other thing, I guess, before we're sort of already we've forgotten the format at this point. We don't give a fuck. We're just we're gonna go till dawn. Whatever. Did you see that game? Use Your Words.
Yes,
Yeah.
I played that.
Yeah, and there's another game I want to talk about that you haven't mentioned yet, which is Sexy Brutale. We haven't got back on it. Basically, you
I
can
know,
blame
I keep
Yooka-lLaylee for
wanting
eating
to
up half the
mention
show.
that.
We're gonna
Just
talk about fucking
downloaded
Sexy
it.
Brutale. That's gonna fucking happen whether you like it or not. Use Your Words, though. We played a bit of that on Cry Stream. That was great fun. Like, it's a...
Yeah.
Go for it. You were
I
about to
was
say
gonna
something. Take the wheel,
Uh,
Jesus.
I was gonna say that when I first opened that game, it crashed my entire computer, and
I
I
don't
was
know how
like,
that
"Oh
happened.
no!" But then once I was actually able to play it, yeah, it was fun. It's weird that it creates a code for you, and that's just your code until you basically like reboot the game.
Yeah. It locks
so
the
that
code
was kind of a
out.
weird situation.
Instead of giving you a new code every time, it makes it easier for people to join, I guess, rather than
Yeah.
having to bring up a new code every single time. I understand
But-
something like that anyway.
Yeah. The only problem was when people would disconnect, like they have a button that's like kick disconnected players. So
Yeah.
I kept having to like kick disconnected players because people were having problems like
Yeah.
getting in there. But yeah, I love the subtitle game. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Where you have to make up subtitles for foreign films. Holy shit. That's amazing.
So, unlike Jackbox, which is like 5 games, this is one game with like 4 components. And it's a social voting game for all intents and purposes. You control it the same way you would Jackbox with either a browser or a smartphone or a tablet. Pretty much any device you can think of will work. And the first mode shows you a clip of like an old public domain film, something they have the rights to. And it'll give you a line, and then it'll say, insert subtitle here. Everyone has to come up with the best subtitle they can, and then it plays all of them back, and you vote for the ones that you like the most. And the people that you like the most get the points, but if you accidentally select the house answer, then you lose points. So it's often a case of trying to figure out...
I fell for the house answers so many times.
They're
'Cause
surprisingly
they
good.
actually sound like things that people would say.
Yeah, they're really smart because that's an issue that Jackbox has had for a while, in that say a player's answer is a player's answer if there's like a typo in it or something like that. They actually wrote the house answer specifically to fool you into believing that it was that. They'll put typos in them. There's a bunch of different house answers, so you don't necessarily see the same one twice for a clip. There's like 7 or 8 different house answers per clip, I think.
Yeah.
That was shit ton of fun. Another mode is newspaper, give a headline to this newspaper picture, basically. So that was pretty fun. And then there's like what's the third one? I can't quite remember. What is that one?
Did you mention the newspaper one?
I just mentioned the newspaper one.
Okay,
Is
newspaper
it
one.
Dubbing the scene?
We just
Subtitle
did
one.
that.
No, that's
Blankomatic.
subtitle one.
Blankomatic, complete the sentence, basically.
right.
And then Survey Says, which is a lightning round, where you basically have to very quickly do like 3 answers and vote on them.
I know the developer of the game, Brutale, very well. He and I talked early on and played a lot of the alpha and beta of the game together. And one of the coolest things was we did this as a panel at a convention.
Yes.
And it was so cool because not only did we have like the 5 of us on stage playing the game, but we had a code for the room, so everyone could just whip out their phone and join in. And like that's such a cool experience, just on the fly, to let people just join in and participate. And
yeah,
it's really fun.
Yeah, it's what Jackbox does as well. I think the interesting thing about this is that Jackbox, I don't know of a single Jackbox party pack where I would say that everything in that Jackbox pack is worth it. Like, there's usually 2...
You kind of have
That's
like your favorites, yeah.
There's usually 2 very good games, okay, I guess, for variety, and then 2 which are just dog shit, for the most part. The first one... what was it? The standout of the first Jackbox was probably, Fibbage, I would think?
Yeah, Fibbage or... Yeah, because Quiplash wasn't on there.
No, Quiplash was separate. Because they had Fibbage XL, which again, it was just a bigger version of Fibbage that they released independently. It's between Fibbage and Drawful. Like, those are the 2 standouts. Then you had You Don't Know Jack, which was just the quiz game, which some people like, some people don't. And then you had Word Spud and Lie Swatter, which were just shit.
Both of them were, yeah.
Jackbox 2 did have Quiplash XL. Bear in mind, they often include just bigger versions of the last game they put out in these things. They had Bidiots, which I actually really liked Bidiots, but it's very weird. Getting people to understand Bidiots.
That game is hard to get.
Yeah. Even explaining. I actually liked Earwax as well, which is a sound effects game. The problem is you can't really replay it all that much because there aren't that many sound effects in it.
Yeah.
So
also, what about the one where you murder? Where there's the murder one?
That's number 3. That's a murder trivia party or whatever.
I love that one.
I think that one's really fun.
That was probably the standout of Party Pack 3.
It's funny because I feel like the most divisive game in 3 is TKO. I know a lot of people who hate TKO and a lot of people who love TKO.
Yes. Yeah. Faking It is pretty good in that one. And Guespionage is one of those okay ones. It's much better if you happen to have the chat involved because they provide the data for the data mining.
Guespionage is also better for Americans.
That's true.
A lot of the survey questions are America focused. Yeah. Found that out.
By the way, Crendor,
quickly.
I don't know if you realize you're muted, but you are.
Yeah, you
didn't know. Okay.
For the best.
I mean, I did notice that. I did notice that this conversation was going a lot better.
Yeah, we can't hear you, dude.
Damn! Why did I fucking tell him? Jesus.
Yeah, we were doing great.
God damn it. Anyway, as he tries to fix that, yeah, the packs are good, but for $25 you generally get 2 really good games, one of which is usually a bigger version of one you may already own, an okay game and 2 shit ones. In this case, it's 1 game with a lot of replayability, and every part of it's really fun. Although the subtitle part is probably the absolute best. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that even if you have the same clip, there's totally different answers with totally different groups of people. So you can play the same clip 20, 30 different times. Doesn't matter.
You're back.
I'm here.
You're back.
Yeah.
Hello. Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
good.
You did it.
It's good to watch. It's good to play with friends. You can very easily play it online, so you don't need people in the same room. Only one person needs to own the game.
I was gonna say what I was trying to say, but nobody could hear me. It would be great if people showed up so we could play fun co-optional lounge games.
That would
Like
be
this
good.
one.
I tried to get a group together for this, and I got 3 people for it. So I decided, fuck it, I'm going on Cry's show instead, because he likes me.
Yeah, I should just go on Cry's show.
Yeah, we should just go on Cry's show. Everyone else is too busy with their jet set LA lifestyle. I know how it goes.
You're right. God, I'm such a jet setter.
Yeah.
I wish.
I like how you just gave up on that sentence halfway through it. It's great.
You're so correct about me.
God damn. You're turning into Eliza Schlesinger, like on a minute-by-minute basis here.
Can I talk about Sexy Brutale?
You absolutely can. I want to hear about Sexy Brutale. I haven't got around to playing it yet, and that pisses me off because it looks fucking amazing. Tell me about Sexy Brutale!
It took me, I want to say, like 5 hours to beat it.
Damn.
And it's a very interesting game. It's a game where you are trying to prevent the murders of all of the guests of a mansion. You and many other people have been invited to this mansion, and you're told by this weird, like, bloody looking specter lady that that all of the staff of the mansion at this moment are like evil, that they're planning on murdering all of the guests. You have to, without being directly involved, you have to keep everyone from dying. So you have to you can turn back time. You live the exact same day over and over and over again.
Groundhog Day kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. You're able to listen through doors. You can peek through doors. You're basically given a target. Like, this is the next person who you need to save. And you have to find them in the house, first of all. You have to find them, and you have to sort of like follow them through their day, like figure out, okay, what exactly happened. And then from there, you can sort of deconstruct it to figure out, okay, what can I change about how their day went in order to help them, in order to keep them from dying.
How much like Ghost Trick is this?
I play very minimal Ghost Trick.
Well, one, that was a mistake. Go play Ghost Trick immediately. You don't even get to finish out the show. You got to go play Ghost Trick.
I put it on my phone and I played a smidge of it.
It's
and then
so
I stopped.
fucking good.
I'm sorry.
God.
I'm sorry.
This is why Capcom only puts shit out now, because you didn't play Ghost Trick.
It's all because of me.
You're entirely to blame. But it does sound like it's quite a lot like that, and that's a very good thing.
It's fantastic. Like, it looks great. It plays great. All of the characters are really interesting, and the direction that the game goes in, you're like, what the fuck? Like, overall, just as a game, by the end of it, you're going, okay, yeah, all right. Like, that was a very interesting gaming experience. I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Oh, I'm way in this then. That's perfect length for me. I'll happily sit down and try and play that in one session. Ghost Trick's basically a puzzle game, and so is this, but it's one of the weird puzzle games I actually like. This whole idea of manipulate the situation so that, you know, it's a cause and effect game. It's like this impacts this, which stops this from happening, and you rewind time until you get it right. And this, particularly stylistically, the whole character design and the aesthetic looks fucking amazing. And this is exactly the kind of puzzle solving that I really actually enjoy. So I'm all over this.
All of the puzzle aspects of this game are pretty simple. It's more about the story that the game is trying to tell. But it still winds up being really fun to figure out, because, you know, it's a big mansion. So it's really fun to figure out, like, fuck, where are they? Who do they interact with? Like, what happens, you know? And like, sometimes
I'm an idiot. So
yeah,
I'm
sometimes
happy with
they'll
that.
interact with a person and you realize, oh, I actually didn't need to keep following them. I needed to follow the person that they talked to. Like, it's cool that way.
Great. This sounds like perfect. Right up my alley. I'm going to have a look at this one.
And to answer some people's questions in chat, I believe there's only one ending. So it's just like a one-time playthrough, and
it's fine by me.
Shaka Bra.
Yeah, I don't think there was never a reason to play Ghost Trick a second time either. Because the issue with a game like this is that the whole thing is cause and effect. It's kind of got to be linear. There's no like other way around it. You've got to find the intricate solution to the problem, and there's no other alternate solution. So it would be difficult to make alternate endings and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Looks
it's
great.
very good. I had never heard anything about it, and then I popped open Steam and I was like, "Oh, this game looks interesting." And I hopped into my stream yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna play the Sexy Brutale," and everyone was like, "Jim Sterling gave it a 10 out of 10." Jim Sterling gave it a 10 out of 10. I'm so excited to watch this because Jim Sterling gave it a 10 out of 10. And I was like, fuck, okay.
Oh, what a contrarian asshole. He gave some fucking weird-ass hipster indie game a 10 out of 10, but only gave Zelda a 7. Man, it's almost as
I've
if
seen that
critics
about
are
him
not
for a long
necessarily looking for
Don't
the same
you love
things as you are.
scores?
Yeah, you know what? To me,
TV?
Zelda, it's
Scores
a
are
10 out of 10. I actually would give
amazing.
Zelda a 12 out of 10 if I had to really rate it.
I'd
Yeah,
give
but that
Great.
would require people
7.
respecting you.
Yeah. Yooka-lLaylee, 14 out of 10. Easily.
Wow.
We've already
That
said it's a 3, it gives you gout. That's
I
just the
didn't get
reality.
gout. from it.
Wait. I thought that Crendor gave you gout.
No, it gave me
No,
syphilis and gout. He's a -4. It gave
Gotcha.
me, I don't even know
Yeah.
how it gave me syphilis. Like, we didn't even engage in intercourse. It was weird. It
Oh,
was like
That's just how it
the
works.
immaculate syphilis.
It's
It's
airborne.
one of the lesser known tales of the Bible.
The immaculate syphilis.
The immaculate contraction. This
It's a good
podcast's
story.
getting a little bit weird. Should say, right?
Zelda, 12 out of 10. Great open world gameplay. Great puzzles. Great fun. Great environment. Great graphics. Great story.
When we
Easily.
come back, I don't even know what we're gonna do. At this point, we started late. Everything's going fucking bizarre. This is why we don't bring on 5 people. Everything goes to hell.
Hey, I've been having a good time. It's been tight.
Hey,
Yeah,
this happens
sick.
every time I'm here. Doesn't matter if
Crendor,
there's 5 people.
Crendor, have you
Tight would
finished,
definitely be
calling
not the
list?
definition.
Calling the list. Oh, yeah, I
Keep-
called the list.
I hope-
Okay,
Okay. Oh dear.
just making
Yes.
sure.
We gave control of the release list to Crendor this week.
Don't worry, it's called.
Why?
It's old.
I figure you've got to jump in with both feet. When it comes to making a utter failure out of a show, you've got to go the whole way.
Dude, I called this list the best out of anyone. Someone.
There we go.
You being invaded?
No, the guys upstairs.
Being
Guys
invaded.
upstairs.
They're being
are-
invaded. We'll be right back after the
We're
break. Don't
being
go
invaded.
anywhere. Repel the invasion. We'll be right back. Back to the co-optional podcast. I deliberately muted you so you couldn't fuck this up, Crendor. There we go.
I was
Now you're
counting it
unmuted.
with my. I was doing the hand gestures this time.
Yeah, I muted you to make sure that people just thought you were stupid while you were doing that, rather than deliberately interfering with the show. Seemed to work
Joke's
out
on
pretty
you.
well.
They probably already think that.
I'm one step ahead of you,
Plan foiled.
except in that respect. Yes, you do have a good point there, and I can't really dispute it. Anyway, Nintendo hates money, as most people are pretty well aware. The latest example is that Nintendo decided, yeah, you know that really, really, really desirable little NES Mini that sold out immediately upon its release, hasn't really been back in stock since, and people really, really seem to want? Yeah, we're not going to make it anymore.
Huh.
Yes, they have discontinued the NES Classic Edition. Nintendo representatives said the following: throughout April, North America territories will receive the last shipments of the NES Classic Entertainment System. We encourage anyone interested in obtaining it to check with retail outlets regarding availability. That's what I think of Nintendo. We understand that it has been difficult for many consumers to find a system, and for that we apologize. We've paid close attention to consumer feedback. We greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for the product. Interesting. You've paid close attention to consumer feedback. That consumer feedback being, what the fuck, why can't we buy this? And your response to the consumer interest and support for the product is not to let them buy it.
At least that has games for it.
I mean, true. Yeah, that is an advantage of the Switch. I mean, really, both the systems are identical because you can't buy either of them right now. So,
Dude, I
That's
bought
great.
mine like 2 weeks ago on Amazon Prime because they finally got more for Prime users. But now I don't have any games to play on it, so it just sits there.
Yeah, I've been looking on, every couple of days I'll look, just out of curiosity. It's like, hey, they have a Switch? No. They have a Switch? No. Anyone around here have a Switch? No. It's like, I'm not going to go chasing this shit, especially when there aren't, the only reason, I would literally be using it as a handheld Has-Been Heroes machine. That would be it. And I'm not sure that game is worth the $300.
I just bought Has Been Heroes. I'm excited
It's good.
to play it.
It's it's a great game. It's, bit slapdash. Obviously not that well polished, but it's a fun game.
What is it? Has Been Heroes?
Has Been Heroes. Yeah, it's pretty cool. What is wrong with these people? For fuck's sake. Like, there's artificial scarcity, and then there's we hate money. I don't... They've been fucking with people with amiibos for years. And the worst thing, of course, about amiibos is that they bind this stupid-ass fucking, usually cosmetic, but not always DLC to set amiibos. So the acquisition of those amiibos becomes more of a, less about, I want a little plastic toy, and more of, I like this feature in my game, please, that I can't get any other way.
I have amiibo Animal Crossing cards for new friends in my Animal Crossing town.
Cool. Does that have anything to do with what I was just saying?
You said amiibos.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Word Association. You're Bing. You're a Bing as a person. You realize this. It's like, or Siri. It's like, you sounded like you wanted to help with amiibos. Would you like this list of amiibo cards that I have here? You're like Microsoft Clippy with a beard.
Listen, I'll take that. I'll be the Microsoft Clippy. Did you mean Microsoft Clippy? Did you mean amiibos?
Show things related to amiibo.
Dude.
Jirard, you're our resident Nintendo expert. What the fuck are they thinking?
You know what? I don't really know, and it's a bit disappointing. I think the only perspective as to why I would see anyone, like, why they would do this, but it doesn't explain it at all, and I still disagree with it, is the amount of NES Classic owners who have hacked the NES Classic to hold over like 300 or 400 games. But that to me isn't big enough because of the fact that there's not enough of a user base to have the NES Classic to begin with. And people are willing to spend $60. That's the thing. It's priced appropriately, and it's just $60. Like $60 for all of the games you grew up with. Like, let's just supply it.
It's too good to be true. Like, some people have claimed that they rapidly realized that they were undercutting their own virtual console market by releasing something like this. Do you think that's true?
I mean, possibly, but the NES Classic is not everyone's going to go out. Like, in my opinion, the NES Classic is for two people: the hardcore Nintendo fans that want to own this thing, and the people who used to go, "Oh shit, I sold my Nintendo when I was a kid, or at a garage sale. I would love to have one again, but I'm not going to go out and buy a Switch or a Wii U.
A nice little nostalgia trip.
This. Yeah. Sega's been doing that for years. They have like repro console all-in-ones. They even have a portable one nowadays, and it's still very affordable to this day. So it's like there should be no reason.
I wish any of them were actually good, because I would actually buy them. I did buy a sort of all-in-one Mega Drive thing that was supposedly Sega endorsed at one point, and that seemed to work out fairly well. I bought it for a friend for Christmas. They seemed to like it. I was like, hey, I just wanted a little nostalgia trip there. I don't even know what's going through their minds. Like, if they really believe this is competition for the virtual console, isn't that indicative of just how bad value the virtual console is to begin with? The amount they're asking for fucking NES games on that is ridiculous.
Especially because these games have been in digital circulation for quite a while, and some of them haven't been, but at this point, if you're not going about getting these things, then you're not going to get it now. Like, the whole point of this is that if you never had you miss your NES, you want to be able to relive those old days. Not to mention you have an HD television that doesn't have composite cables anymore.
Yeah.
Then this is perfect for you. And the fact that they can't get enough out there is super disappointing.
Yeah, it seems to me like if you really wanted an emulation box, there are 1,000,001 ways to make an emulation box, and they're not even that expensive. You could just buy a fucking Ouya. Buy a used Ouya. It could do that. A Raspberry Pi is $35. You could do it with that. Every phone ever You can do it with that. And just plug it in with an HDMI cable. Go. There are so many ways. If you're hardcore into emulation, you're probably buying some of these custom machines. I've still got a fucking open Pandora on the shelf right over there. There was like a $500 little Linux console with a full keyboard that I use for emulation and stuff. There's all sorts of options. There was another theory that they were just filling in the gap between production of the Wii U ending and the Switch starting, so they needed the factory for a few months, so they're like, hey, let's just build these. I don't know enough about manufacturing to even comment on that. That doesn't sound right, though. I don't know.
At the end of the day, I think if they really wanted to make everyone happy, they should have made this thing available all over the place. And like, if they were announcing they were discontinuing the NES Classic right now, and it's been in healthy stock, I'd have no problem with that, because that would have given us the market at least 5, maybe 6 months to own this thing, and they're everywhere. And now they're saying, you know what, the time's come, the anniversary came by, we're gonna now pull it off the shelves, we're gonna, put our last bit out there, and that's it. But it's essentially just been, hey, that thing that you can't get, not only can you not get it still, but we're not gonna sell it anymore.
But you better not emulate it.
It's $330 for one of these fucks on Amazon. But that's the cheapest, and eBay's just as bad. You know who I feel bad for? The guys that made accessories for these fucking things. They're fucked. The people that made the extension cables because this was how long the cable was. The people that made the wireless versions of the controllers, the carry cases and everything, they're screwed. They're like, oh, this is going to be a great market going forward. No, it won't, because Nintendo ain't going to sell shit. They don't like money. They're so stupid.
I wonder how much of it is Nintendo, because in my experience working with Nintendo of America has always been a pleasure to work with, and they've been very supportive of YouTubers and streamers. But when it comes to, the corporate above is Nintendo Japan, and they're the ones
they're insane.
Yeah, and so I think that's got to be such a different mindset to have, where one side's like, yes, we're for the fans, we're with you, we want to support you guys and all that stuff, and the other side, it's like, nope, we're a traditional Japanese company.
We'll do things the way that we do. We don't listen to anybody, especially when it's outside of our own borders. We've seen so many examples of that over the last few months, and it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
Very, very silly.
Super unfortunate. Super, super unfortunate.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people's like, well, what if they weren't making a profit on it? Okay, one, if they weren't making a profit on it, why would they have sold it?
Yeah, why?
You can't make the same argument as a new console where it's like, all right, we'll make a loss on the console, but we need an installed user base, and then we can make it back on the sale of games. You can't do that with an NES Classic. No, they had to have been selling that for a profit. Yeah. Also, how can you fuck that up? Like, something that old? There's no way you could be selling that at that price and not be making money. That's insane.
Isn't it the same type of people that are like, you better not stream that Persona game or we're gonna sue you?
Yeah, it's that Japanese attitude where they just I don't know, they live in their own bubble. I don't get it. When it comes to gaming, those corporate types in Japan live in their own damn bubble. Their way is the right way and the only way, and every other way is evil and is trying to somehow cut into their profits. It's bonkers.
But this is a thing that everyone wants. Like, Nintendo priced it perfectly, $60, right? But everywhere you go, it's $120, $150, now $300, $350.
$320 is how much it costs to get one now.
One of my favorite things that I noticed at PAX East this year was MSRP, right? That's like in the United States, MSRP is like set at a specific price. You're not really allowed to legally sell above what is required, right? At PAX East, there's a booth right across away from Nintendo, and they're selling Switches for like $400, $500, $600, and they're just looking at Nintendo, looking at them, and Nintendo didn't really do anything, obviously, because it's like, it's their booth, right? Like, they're just there to show off Mario Kart and stuff. But at the same time, it's like people want to give Nintendo the money for the product that they want to get, not to the scummy retailer that's going to make $600-$700 on it. Just provide enough. And if you're worried about numbers, I mean, I know you're not a big fan of it, TB, but pre-order. Like, I want to put money to make sure that I get this product so I don't have to fight the market to find it later.
Ultimately, like, in that situation, that's the only situation where pre-ordering is justified. The thing is, it should never have to happen. They should be meeting supply for this kind of shit. You shouldn't have to pre-order a year in advance and then still maybe not fucking get it. They should have this stock in. The fact that you still can't buy a Switch is bonkers to me. This, like, really? You know, I could understand maybe the launch, but get your fucking asses in gear. Come on.
It's been about 6 weeks now. Like, come on.
How long does it have to take to actually... I want to buy a thing. I can't buy a thing because you ain't keeping up with demand. And once again, you didn't predict demand. And I've been through way too many of these cases at fucking retail to view this as an accident at this point. I was like, I don't even think there's a grand conspiracy behind any of this. Because I can't even see what the end game is for Nintendo. It's like, Nintendo aren't profiting off of Amiibo scalpers. They're not profiting off Switch scalpers or NES Classic scalpers. It's not like, you know, Ticketmaster owning a resale site and double dipping. They're just bad. Like, that's the only explanation I've got. It's like, it's not some... People assume this level of competence from companies. Like, there's no way they'd make this mistake because they're a company and they're far too smart for that. What if they're not, though? What if they're actually just stupid and that's why we're in this situation? Doesn't that actually make more sense?
What if they're United Airlines?
Yeah. What if? What if?
Dragging us off their planes.
You assume that a company that large could never make such a stupid mistake, and then it happens.
Sure.
Well, moving on to a company that isn't fucking up, although some people are complaining about it anyway. Microsoft has introduced Steam-like refunds to Xbox Live. So you can refund a game within 2 hours of playtime, just like you can on Steam. They are the first console manufacturer to move into this territory, I believe. Up until this point, getting refunds from pretty much any console manufacturer for a game has been lol, no, fuck you. Nice to see this. I would think there wouldn't be any complaints about it. But... well, the foremost on the side of complaining about this is one developer, the Chinese Room, creators of Everyone's Gone to the Rapture and Dear Esther.
Your favorites.
Oh yeah, I love those guys. What upon being given an interview in a major UK newspaper, The Guardian, the one where they claimed that I had said they were destroying the games industry. You know, that thing that I never fucking said. Yeah, I love those guys.
Guardian, great newspaper. Just
Great newspaper source.
Hey,
source of authority.
you want to talk about fake news? Whenever Chinese
Fake
Room
news.
opens its mouth, that's fake news, apparently. They are against it, and they're against it on the basis of what people were panicking about when Steam refunds first came into. It's like, yeah, but what if short games, though? Basically, that's their argument. Like, our games are short, so everyone will just finish the game and they refund the game. Well, okay, one, if you have that little faith in customers, then why the fuck are you even in this business? You think that everybody is going to do that? You really seriously believe that? And honestly, I don't understand. They make niche games for niche people. You know, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture and Dear Esther. Dear Esther may very well have been more popular than it kind of had any right to be because it was sort of first on the scene with the whole walking simulator thing. And, you know, it also got bundled heavily, so a lot more people own that game than would really think.
Right.
But Rapture on Steam did very poorly. Like, it sold, it's been out for about a year, it sold 24,000 copies, which is not much. Bear in mind, Esther actually, I think, has over 1 million, but a lot of those are from bundles and all that kind of thing.
Right.
But honestly, if you really think that your niche audience that you've created, that you've attracted to this, that actually want to play the whole walking simulator thing, would then turn around and refund your game afterwards, you create a pretty shitty customer base, haven't you? Right?
Yeah.
Aren't those the guys most likely to support you and not do that? I gotta ask, you know, were the guys behind Firewatch worried about this at all? Because no, they weren't. Like, you can beat Firewatch in that time. Or the vast majority of it if you don't rush. Did Firewatch get destroyed by the Steam refund system? No, it didn't. Firewatch actually did real fucking well. Firewatch sold over 600,000 copies.
think the
Well,
average consumer, if they enjoyed the game, are not going to refund it.
No, they're not. They're
So-
absolutely not.
So I'm super unfamiliar with the refunding system on Steam, TB. If let's say I'm the kind of user that is consistently buying games and beating them and getting a refund right away, does Steam have a way of being like, "Hey, slow down, partner. You
Yeah.
bought a lot of games."
Yeah,
Okay,
it's under
so-
the hood, but yes, they can cut you off at any time. If they think, and they've got algorithms to detect this, if they think you're abusing it, and you just you're beating games and refunding them, and frankly, there's not all that many games that you could beat in 2 hours and refund anyway at the best of times, but yeah, if you are
Right.
abusing it, yeah, you can absolutely, without a doubt, they can stop that. And I've heard of, and I talked to a lot of indie devs, I've heard of not a single case of where the refund system has been abused to the point where it's been a problem for any dev. And even devs that have got a lot of refunds in the first week have admitted, you know what, we probably deserved that. You know, because this thing was broken or because these customers thought they were getting something that they weren't. This whole attitude to me is... it doesn't feel right. It's this idea of saying, oh, well, you don't like our game, but we don't think that you should get your money back.
It's kind of
Mm.
like making an excuse just to blanket your production of your game. Like, well, our game's short because we ran out of time, but like, you should like it, so don't refund it because, well, it's a short game, so please don't do that. Like,
I don't think that there is this massive group of consumers that after playing and enjoying a short game go and fucking refund it. I don't think that group exists. And
And if-
honestly, sorry,
and if
Gerard.
they did, I'm pretty sure Steam would and Xbox at this point would probably
Would shut them down.
pretty wise to that. Yeah.
Yeah, they would. They absolutely know about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's I don't it requires so much distrust of the market in general that again I don't even understand why these people are still making games within it. If you think customers are that shitty, please go to another industry. Like that you trust more. I just don't see that as a healthy relationship with your customers at all.
Yeah.
I have a little like off tangent question since we're talking about refunds. Do you guys personally go when you see a bad movie? Do you go afterwards and be like, "I demand a refund"?
No.
I've
No.
never done that.
Right.
Can
I
you
don't.
even do that?
It's people do.
It is
I have
America.
done it.
I guess you can ask a refund for anything, but
I have done it when, say, for example, the projector dies, and I'm
oh
like,
yeah, totally, yeah. Because that was
Absolutely.
broken. That wasn't just the
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
was not to my taste. This was the movie didn't work. Yeah, totally.
I could see it happening if like you're watching the first like 10 to 15 minutes and you're like, I don't think I'm going to like this. And you walk out and you're like, I don't think I want to see this. But like if you sit through the entire movie, then you're like, all right, I don't want to see it. I want my money back here.
Yeah.
You get it. Well, if you got to the end of the credits and then you realized, oh, that was a shitty movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you already.
Oh man, I didn't realize it until now, but yeah, I've had a friend, like, she went to a movie and she was normally like totally fine with horror movies, but she like felt super sick and
Right.
like halfway through the movie like vomited because like the movie just made her feel super gross. And so she was like, I'm sorry, I will never ever watch the rest of this movie. Like, I'm so sorry, this made me super sick. Like, can I get my money back? And they were like, yeah.
Didn't that happen to
But-
Cloverfield viewers as well, and also Hardcore Henry, I think, because the camera perspective was actually giving people motion sickness?
Yeah.
That's a legit reason. But
But
I mean,
even, like, even
I've
with the
never
early
done that.
days-
Even
the
for
early
movies I
days
didn't
of,
enjoy.
like Blair Witch Project. Like it was just the combination of the motion sickness and the scariness together. Like made
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
like people that order food. And it's like when you first get the food and you take a bite and you're like, oh, I don't like this, take it back. Versus like, I ate all of it. And they're like, I didn't like that. Give me my
Yeah.
money.
Isn't that an argument in favor of what Chinese Room is saying, though? Like that for a shorter game like that, you should realize that you hate it earlier than like 2 hours, and you should refund it
Yeah, but
earlier
their
than
short
that.
game is like a small little appetizer and you eat it in one bite and you're like, yeah, I didn't like it. It's like, well, that was the whole thing. It's like, you know.
Well, like you can like sliders are pretty good food, right? Like everyone loves sliders.
Yeah.
You You beat him.
Keep the metaphor going.
hold on,
Yes,
no.
yes.
Let's go.
I'm not sure that
You
everybody
eat
loves
sliders.
sliders, but okay.
You can have good sliders. You
Everyone
can have
loves
bad
sliders. Doesn't mean they're good though.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. But what I'm
Love
saying
bad
is
sliders.
like, if you have like a slider, obviously it's not going to fill you up, but it's delicious and it's good. Sweet. I'm not going to ask for my money back. But if the slider sucks, yeah, I want my money back. Or maybe I'm not going to eat the rest of it because it's not very good.
Yeah, White Castle.
That is what we're talking about. Yeah.
We're talking literally about White Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
It's like you eat one chicken nugget out of your 10-piece chicken nugget, and you're like, man, that made me feel sick. Maybe I shouldn't get chicken nuggets anymore, but I will. I'll still get chicken nuggets.
I mean, I know that I compare DRS to the chicken
This
nuggets
metaphor
all the
is
time.
working. I'm positive.
Like
I
when you
got
eat pizza, and then you eat like a slice of pizza. You say like, man, I should have eaten this pizza, but you eat it anyway because it's fucking pizza.
Yeah.
It's like a
it's
hot
like-
dog where you
yeah.
take a bite out of your hot dog and you're like, I don't want this hot dog anymore.
Boy, are we all very hungry.
It's true.
I think that and some people say, well, you should just never make a 2-hour game. Like, well, fucking bullshit. You know,
No, that's garbage.
I play games that are short than that. I mean, my favorite game of all time is Brothers, and that's 2 hours if you play at a reasonable speed.
Fucking
The-
love Brothers.
Because Brothers is fucking awesome. Would I have
Yeah.
even considered refunding Brothers in a million years? Fucking no, I loved that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, why would you ever refund something you love?
That's the thing. That's the disconnect between what these guys seem to cynically
Yeah.
view gamers as like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed this, but I really want my $10 back.
Right.
Do you really think that's how people are?
No, this is 100% a we are afraid people are going to play our shit and think it sucks and then get a refund. But the way we're going to sell it is our games are very, very short, and we are afraid that you'll love this game, but because it's only 2 hours long or like an hour and a half, that you'll then get a refund because that's how we're going to. It's just it's a bullshit spin on a bullshit thing. It has nothing to do with them thinking that people are bad. It's them trying to not sound like fucking assholes for like making shit games. That's the truth.
Meow.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there'll be a couple people that are like, I need to eat today. I'm just going to get this and then refund it.
Sure,
and
yeah.
get some, but
There's
like,
always a little
the majority
example every now and
isn't.
again. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
talking
if you make a good game, even if it's a fucking hour long, if it's good, and at the end of the day, people walk away like that was a blast, no one's gonna ask for a refund. Get fucked with this bullshit storyline. Nah. I don't buy it.
Stories Untold, Jesse. We played that last week on Scary Game Squad. It was like, what, like $10-15? It was fucking worth it.
Stories
was-
Untold is literally just like typing the game, but the story, and by the end of it, like the hour and a half of actual gameplay, by the time it's over, you're like, that was the coolest fucking story. I'm so glad I was a part of that.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Chinese Room.
That's true.
Yeah.
Those people, oh my God, they get a refund on the game to go get food. Then they get their food. They get a refund on the food. And they go see a movie. They get a refund on the movie. They just got 3 things for free.
Yeah, but those people are assholes, and they're always gonna be
And
those
some
asshole
chicken
people.
nuggets.
Yeah,
And some chicken nuggets.
like I mean, you have to accept that when you deal with any refund thing. There are always gonna be people, always in any industry, who's like, oh, I didn't like this. I want my refund, and you just take your fucking lumps. Like,
It's just
all
the
right, I'm not
reality
gonna
of it.
question why you didn't
There's
like.
always one bad chicken nugget in the bunch.
Yeah, man, that's just the way it works.
Yep,
That's
the one that's
business.
nothing but that crispy. It's just batter. It's just chewy batter. No
Yeah.
chicken in there at all.
No chicken.
Oh, you mean all chicken nuggets?
Well, I
No.
mean, maybe if you buy pleb chicken nuggets, but if you buy the proper chicken nuggets, like, you know, a normal civilized adult would,
I
then
believe you mean chicken tenders. Those are proper chicken nuggets.
they are,
The tenders are the nuggets.
tenders
Maybe-
and nuggets are not the same thing. You just got to buy those proper Archer Farms, gluten-free, non-GMO chicken nuggets.
Jesus
Mm.
Christ! Only available at Trader Joe's, $49.99.
Tell you what, you refund Persona after beating it, you're gonna get some good chicken nuggets.
Oh man, 200 hours later.
Hey, you speedrun Persona in 2 hours, you deserve a prize.
Yeah.
Like, you deserve
Right?
that
Like
refund.
you deserve to have your money
It's like,
back.
how did you
killed it.
do this? I'm still in the tutorial. It's 10 hours in. How did this happen?
Yeah, it's just oh man, it's just like inside of the game when you do the like food challenges to up your guts. Man, you had guts. You
Gotta
beat
up
that
your
game in
guts.
2 hours.
Up them guts.
You upped your
Up
guts
them
and you
guts.
got
Yeah.
a refund.
Yep.
And some chicken tendies.
And some chicken tenders. What is
Yeah.
happening? Are we doing
No.
releases
Ah,
now?
Yes, we are doing
yeah.
releases. We're done with that. Our conclusion being stop complaining and stop treating your customers like shit, and then they will respect you. It's really that simple. All right, releases as brought to you by and the fault of Mr. Eric Crendor.
Crendor here. So first game on the list is Crawl for PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
And what day are we on here?
April 11th.
Yes. We're doing it from Tuesday because we didn't do the show on Tuesday. It would miss a bunch of good games otherwise.
Okay.
Ooh,
Wait, this game, I think I've played.
Probably. It's been in early access for a long ass time.
Yeah, this game was super fun.
Yep.
It's like a multiplayer, like only one person is the warrior, and then
And everyone else is the monsters, yeah.
Yeah, and then you swap. Like if you kill that guy, then a different person becomes the warrior.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
super
cool.
awesome. The only issue I've had with it is that they didn't put online into it. It's
Oh,
only
what?
local. Yeah, it's only local. People have been complaining about this since they first went on early access, but they seem to have no intention of going online with it.
so
It's like,
cool.
that stings.
It's
I
so
wish
fun.
they would. Yeah, so I guess
that
I'll have to wait
monster-
until I'm next on the West Coast, and then we can play that.
Yeah,
Sick.
dude, that's cool.
Next,
Next game is Endless Horde.
I
Endless.
bet it's zombie
Okay.
game.
So
Robots?
yeah.
Zombies.
So bearing in mind, that we give you the list to call to take out the stuff
Yeah,
that
but you look at the
looks
bottom, it's got good
boring.
reviews. Look at those comments.
It
what?
has 4 user reviews, and they were all given for free to people. It doesn't have a single legitimate review. Why did you pick this?
All right, listen, I may have just missed a couple in the calling. All right, we'll just
Next.
we'll just
Okay,
move on
well, all
here.
right, we'll give you one. We'll give you one. Okay.
All right, Brawl of Ages.
Brawl of Ages. If I recall correctly, this is like a Clash Royale style game
Yeah,
for
that's what
PC.
it reminded
Like-
me of.
Yeah.
Free to play. Oh yeah, it looks like Clash Royale. Yeah.
Yep.
I
I
Very,
was gonna
very
try it out.
Clash-like. Yeah, I might have a look at it. Obviously, it's competing with Minion Masters at the moment,
Mhm.
which is actually a very fun game. Hey, is this by S2? No, it's published by S2. It's developed by a company called BNA. I've never heard of them, but yeah, sort of
Boku no
early
Hero
access. I don't know. Kind of free to play it. I don't know. I think Minion Masters looks like it may be a little less free to play bullshit, but I don't know. I'll check this out.
They had some pack for it on Chrono GG the other day.
Hmm.
That's where I first heard of it.
Okay.
Next up is Spark the Electric Jester.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
It's a 2D platformer. Obviously, this was a 2D mascot platformer, I guess.
It looks
It's
like Super
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Wait, I think this has been on the list before.
Possibly last week. I think it was delayed a week, but it is out now. It's got snowboarding in it. It's got quite a lot of snowboarding in it, as it turns out.
does.
It's
This guy's
actually
A
looks
rad dude.
pretty good.
What was that Nintendo 64 snowboarding game?
1080.
Rad dudes. 1080.
I don't know if it was 1080.
I don't think it was called 1080 Rad Dudes.
Nintendo
Jesse.
64 snowboarding games.
1080.
Yeah, I remember 1080.
Snowboard kids.
Snowboard kids. Yeah. Dude,
Is it
Snowboard
in
Kids?
any way like this? Because I'm gonna go with no.
Dude,
This-
Snowboard Kids is awesome.
This is like we're talking about Spark, right? This looks like
Yes.
a snow
Sonic.
game.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. Crendor's
Sonic.
just talking out of his ass. Yeah, it's very
Sonic game.
It's very Sonic-esque. It looks good, though. It reminds me a bit of, oh, God, what the fuck is the name of that really good one? The game that people thought was
Freedom
a furry
Planet.
game.
Freedom
Freedom
Planet.
yes.
Yeah.
The game with the furries in it, that one, yes. Yeah, this looks pretty good for a platformer.
Next.
Next up, we got Escape Lizards.
Escape
Now-
Lizards.
I didn't actually look at this one, but
Oh, my God.
I saw Escape Lizards and I was like, how could this be bad?
I can think of several ways.
It's a challenging, tricky platformer.
Escape Lizards is a challenging, tricky platformer where you must navigate the lizard's eggs across increasingly precarious platforms to get to the
But it's not-
finishing
you're not even
bell.
a lizard. You're the egg.
Well, the lizard takes too much to.
What do they call? What do they
design.
call it?
It's fucking kind of
Escape.
Marble Madness tilts the board rolly game.
Eggscape
God.
lizard. Let's see.
Eggscape lizards.
Eggscape.
Yes.
Why didn't you do
Eggscape
That's what it
lizards.
should have been.
Come on, man.
I
Come
mean,
on, guys.
to
Come
be
on, man.
all
That would
things
have been
considered, this.
excellent.
Oh god, I hate all of you.
Here
To
we
be-
go. Here we go. Keep it coming.
This doesn't
All
look
right.
too bad though. For what
Yeah,
it
it
is,
actually
anyway.
doesn't look that bad. I thought it'd look worse.
Next.
Next up, had to keep this one on the list. Japanese women animated jigsaws.
Oh god damn it.
I knew you'd fucking keep this in here. This is not what Jesse is hoping for. Let me put it that way.
It's not. They're real people.
They're real
They're
Japanese
real?
women.
And they're animated, which is really fucking creepy.
I like this one. This girl
Wait,
taking
what?
a huge bite out of a thing of watermelon.
Dude, I gotta play this game.
Why? It's just it's a
Weird.
jigsaw puzzle. There's nothing to play.
Oh my god, this is creepy. This is
It's
creepy.
terrifying.
Animation.
God.
It's so weird.
It's
Those
terrifying.
animations.
It's
Oh,
just
the bath one is weird. The bath one is
Literally,
weird.
somebody just bought a bunch
Oh
of
my
stock
God.
footage of Japanese women and turned it into fucking jigsaw puzzles. It's
Dude,
dumb.
when you complete the jigsaw, you get the
watermelon.
actual
The
scene that
watermelon.
it's based off of. It's a little movie.
Oh, Jesus. I like the end of the description is great. The description is animated jigsaws is a jigsaw puzzle game with videos instead of pictures. Japanese women animated jigsaws contains moving images of Japanese women. In Japanese, clothes called kimono, cool wearing yukata, Maiko in Kyoto relaxed in a hot spring, and etc. Please enjoy various.
Please enjoy various.
That's it.
Dude, there's no period at the end either. It
Oh
just
my
keeps
God,
going.
Please
There's
enjoy
one-
various.
one review. One.
I am begging you, please enjoy various.
Yeah, what's the review say? I have no idea how to properly explain my experience with this game. It's exactly what it looks like. If you are interested in jigsaw puzzles or like the theme of this game, then you will probably enjoy it.
I like the
Thanks
one
for
below
the
it.
critique.
I started my quest with the umbrella after fixing up her.
Oh my god. All right, let's
wanted to be with
move
me
swiftly
while.
on.
Next game. Next
Next
game.
game.
Let's see. Next game we got Shock Tactics.
Ah, yes. This looks potentially interesting. Single player, turn-based sci-fi tactics game, kind of XCOM-esque apparently, but also has some base building and stuff in it. Like, that seems like it'll be right up my alley, but I wonder if it's any good. The reviews at the moment are pretty mixed on it. The aesthetic looks fairly hideous. I don't know. It does look a bit like a knockoff XCOM. Actually looks very much like a knockoff XCOM. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but, you know, it's got to be done well. Oh, wow, it even has slowdown when you shoot too many bullets, just like XCOM does. The authentic
Oh,
XCOM
yeah.
experience. It also
Yeah, but-
runs like shit. Thanks.
Does it have Japanese women?
I'm going to assume no.
Damn.
Next
Probably
Next
doesn't have
game.
Next
jigsaws
game.
either.
Next game.
All right. Next game is A Rose in the Twilight for PC and Vita.
What?
Sure.
People still use a
Vita
Vita?
game?
Vita games still exist. As long as they are visual novels, they generally exist. Or J dungeon crawlers. They're a thing too.
Oh, this looks interesting. I'll play this.
Yeah,
bad.
what is this all about? I'm trying to skip forward to a bit I can actually see. All right.
Kind
So
of
it's
a
a-
weird.
this?
Puzzle platformer
This-
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
side
It's got
scrolling,
pretty cool art.
potentially horror-ish game.
Okay. That is a weird ass looking. That's like a giant that is also a cinnamon bun of sorts.
My favorite type of.
It's perfect.
I love Cine Giants.
Okay. Yeah, that looks intriguing.
All right. I'd be down to check it out.
What we got? Next.
All right, next up we got Spring Bonus. Now, this one I had to throw in here because it's spring. We're getting to Easter. Thought we'd keep it a little festive.
This is a fucking match 3 with animals, isn't it? That is literally all it is.
No. It's
What-
more than that. All right.
How is it? How
this
is
is
it
the
more? Explain to me how it's more.
Well,
Uh-huh.
I can't. So
No. And,
all
and
right.
you know that Ornstein or Smog, I don't know much about Dark Souls, is very upset about this.
Dude, I bet he
Like-
loves Spring Bonus.
This is Crendor, and this is me.
I have a question. Is there like a program out there that you can pay for to just make your own puzzle game? Because this just looks like someone went to Google Image or DeviantArt and just took like 3 associated images and were like, it's a puzzle game, and called it a day.
No.
You know, actually, I mean, there's quite a lot of Unity
Can I
templates that
make
you
my
can
own
use.
match 3?
Yes.
Cren 3?
I mean, there was loads of people doing it with, there's a way to make your own 2048. Like, you can make that very easily. There are some Unity, like, pre-builds you can do where you just swap assets in. So it's entirely possible. I don't know.
The non-content match 3.
Cool.
I can use various versions of your faces, so it's not exactly you, but your likeness.
You're not allowed to do that. I'm gonna stop you right there. Next.
All right. Next up, we have Cosmic Star Heroine.
Yeah, I've heard good things about this one. It's by the Z-Boyd guys, the guys that make Cthulhu Saves the World and Breath of Death 7.
Ooh, this looks cool.
Yeah, they said they were going to try and make a Phantasy Star-like game, like the old school Phantasy Star. And it got kickstarted, if I recall correctly, and from what I'm hearing so far, a lot of good things about Cosmic Star Heroine, if that is what you are looking for.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I totally saw this at MagFest earlier this year.
This seems like it'd be right up your alley, Jirard.
Yeah, I actually might check this out.
Jesse's too, actually. Although I know you were more of a Square person than you were a kind of Sega Phantasy Star sort of dude, but...
It's hip to be square.
Yeah, it's have to be square, yo.
Oh, Hyperduck did the soundtrack! They're the guys that made the soundtrack for, like, Dust and, whatever the fuck that kind of Metroid-like game was. It was really good. Yeah, I might buy it just for the soundtrack.
Axiom Verge? No.
No, it was the other one. Oh, God, what the fuck is the name of it? Ares Extinction Agenda. Yeah, they did a killer soundtrack for that. Yeah, I might get it on that basis alone then. Looks good.
Next up is Arrow.
What, Arrow?
Just
Arrow?
A-A-E-R-O.
A-E-R-O.
A-A, like A-A-Ron.
Oh.
A
Like space, but like with an extra A. And
Oh, okay.
The
Right.
air,
Like, yeah,
air,
like,
but with an extra A.
yeah, like
Right.
Arrow with an extra A, and then you take an E and an R and an O, and you put them all together, and you get Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It looks like
A flying rhythm
on-
game.
It's kind of cool, I'm not going to lie.
it's
Spider.
it's sort of kind of on rails Res-esque kind of game. By the looks of it, it's actually very Res, sort of Panzer Dragoon rail shooter. Very driven by music. It actually does look pretty fucking cool. I love the way it looks, and I actually like Res style games. Yeah, I might have a look at this. This looks neat.
Yeah. Next up is the sexy Brutale.
Indeed.
Yo,
Which we've already talked about.
Yay!
Yep.
Next.
Next up is Yooka-lLaylee.
Which we
Yeah.
have spent
Great.
enough time on already. Next.
10 out of 10. Stardew Valley Collector's Edition.
Get the fuck
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that is for consoles.
Yeah, I bought it the other day.
Yes. Now they just need multiplayer.
That's coming, right?
I hope so. So that would make me
Supposed
play
to.
it again. Next up is Kero Blaster.
How do you spell that?
K-E-R-O Blaster.
K-E-R-O Blaster. Okay.
This looks weird.
It got pretty good ratings. And it looks weird.
This looks like an Atari 2600 game.
Yeah, look at that.
Quiero,
Look
quiero.
at that one.
Yeah,
It's like
look
a big ass bear man, a weird snake man.
It's like
Yeah.
you got different. Yeah, this is very old school. It looks like an Atari 2600 game, but like all the interfaces pure NES sort of
Yeah.
Right.
Contra, Mega Man kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Next,
Next up is Star Blood Arena.
Star Blood Arena. I can't find
Blood
this. What-
Arena.
Is it Star Space Blood? No.
No,
Good. Is this on PC?
this is on PS4.
Oh, that'll be why I can't find it then. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that all about then?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
You don't know.
You're supposed to know. That's why you left it in the list,
I
right?
think I accidentally missed calling that one out.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Yeah,
All
it's,
right,
it's,
Metacritic,
it's a
68%.
that the score doesn't matter. It's a VR kind of it's a VR arena game by the looks of it for PlayStation VR.
All right. Next up, Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition.
Yep, that's something that's already sucking up a lot of time from my wife. She's playing a lot of it already. It's what it says it is, one of the best CRPGs of all time, but now hopefully a little bit better.
Next up, Project Surviving.
Oh God.
Now, I capped this one on the list for a few reasons. One, I like survival games. I would try this out. Two, it said it released April 11th, yet it is not available.
And hopefully it never will be, looking at this trailer. This looks like absolute dog shit.
Way to put him on blast, Crendor.
Listen, I got to try the game out, all right? You got to call them out.
This is an asset flip. Like, this is just a generic thing they just bought from the Unity store.
This is what the refund system was made for.
Yes, there are 50 games that are literally identical to this because he just bought it and resold it.
You understand? This is a day-night cycle.
They all have that.
It has a crafting system.
They all have that.
What else, Crendor?
Also,
Tell me.
A building system.
Oh my God. I'm also read that logo and tell me that actually says surviving and not serving.
It looks more like
no I.
Project. It looks like Project Surviving.
They couldn't even write the word they were using as part of their goddamn name.
Project Surviving.
The point of this whole culling thing was to avoid things like this. Let's move on.
All right, next up, we got ourselves Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator.
Oh, this one, yeah. It's exactly what it sounds like. You want to put Romans against US Marines and all that kind of shit and watch them fight? That's basically what it is. Right now, the game's kind of more of a giant benchmark for your CPU than anything else. I'm not sure there's an actual game there yet. Like, you just kind of watch the bullshit happen.
People are saying when people workshop stuff and mod things, it's going to be really good.
Well, I mean, it will be if they make a game out of it. As it stands, it's more of like a toy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crendor, I don't know if it's on your list, just because it was kind of a surprise for everyone, but Bayonetta also came out on PC recently.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
$20 for Bayonetta.
Yeah, definitely worth it, especially since I think it's like I heard it's available in 4K. Did I make that up?
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Did I just make that up right now?
It's supposedly the best version. Not that that takes much, because most of the versions were kind of shit.
Let's see. Next up is The Wild Eternal.
The Wild Eternal.
Yeah.
And what is it?
Let me read it for you. Get lost beneath the fog in The Wild Eternal, a reflective first-person exploration game. Embark on a meditative journey to heal the scars of your past.
There's a fox in it. I'm sold.
Yeah, there's a fox, and he's talking. And the fox says, "Before you arrived, my only real companions were the shrines."
Oh, that is a sad existence. I'm trying to figure out exactly what you do in it. It seems to be a mostly walking simulator.
Yeah, it seems
Might
like
have a few puzzles here and there.
Yeah, that's what it
Akka was
seems
talking
like.
about this the other day.
Oh.
Relaxing, story-rich exploration game is the tags. So
Okay. All right. Next.
Mr. Shifty.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this one quite recently. I think it's Tiny Builds publishing it. Yeah.
Oh, this looks cool.
Yeah, they're comparing it a bit to Hotline Miami in some respects, but you could dash and dodge a lot more. It does look pretty fucking awesome. It's one of those ultra hard, holy shit, you die in one hit, crazy Determinator sort of games. This was kind of right up Dodger's alley. I wouldn't have the patience for this shit,
This
I don't
looks
think.
super
but
fun to me.
yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, next up is The Ruins VR.
VR
Actually-
escape room.
It's an escape
I
room.
really
Okay.
like escape room things on the VR though. That's like one of the few types of games I actually enjoy playing on the VR.
Mm.
This is like the third game from this company, apparently. They just make these things over and over.
Yeah. I know there's one escape room thing. It's like a spaceship one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The Jackbox Party Pack 3, not safe
Oh.
work.
Not safe for work edition? Was that?
It
'Cause-
says NSW.
No, that's Nintendo Switch, not safe for
Oh
work.
shit, dude.
So it's Jackbox on the Switch. Okay.
Not
Yeah.
safe work.
Which, to be fair, is
Not
an
safe
idea.
work?
safe for Switch.
That's actually an ideal use for the Switch, a Jackbox machine.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not safe work.
Not safe work.
God damn it.
What?
Next.
All right. The Twist of Destiny.
Turn-based RPG. Lead up to 4 characters around the world in dangerous adventures. Okay.
Dude,
There's
the
a
start
character
of it-
named Ben Dover.
Oh.
The start of the
That's
video, if you watch
hilarious.
it, it's a frog taking a bong hit or something.
Well, that certainly sounds like the kind of humor I would enjoy. One of the bosses is a rotten tomato, it would appear.
Yeah, there's some weird characters in this thing.
Yeah, it's got an interesting art style to it.
Yeah.
That guy just did like a super flip over a sheep or something.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
don't quite know what's going on with that.
I'm sold though. Yeah. Definitely check that one out. Let's see. We got Aquila Bird Flight Simulator.
Why?
That's been on there for like 4 weeks, I think.
Yeah, fuck
What?
that. We've seen that before. Next.
But it's releasing now.
And it
Um,
looks as crap as it did 4 weeks ago. Next.
You can be a bird. All right,
Next.
the next is The Search. The Search.
Okay.
What the hell is this?
It's an
Story-driven puzzle adventure where the
Hmm.
art comes to life.
It looked
So it's
really
cool.
good though.
It looks pretty.
Yeah.
Does it?
But like, what do
Yeah,
you
like
do?
like everything looks really crisp.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
I mean, it looks just like your
You
basic
need me to
hidden
read
object
you what
game,
you do?
really.
Embark on a journey of discovery and inspiration in The Search.
I like how you didn't wait for a
But
reply.
what do you do? But like, what?
Do you need me to read it again? Embark on a journey of discovery and inspiration.
I
in
regret
The Search.
everything.
This just looks like an old, like early 1990s
Oh, here we go.
DOS.
Yeah.
In an unknown
kinda
world,
does.
you'll search for clues about the nature of this place as well as your own past. Guided only by the letters of a mysterious stranger, you'll find that this universe works differently from our own.
Next.
Yep.
Next. Yeah, next. Yeah.
All right. We got Sonia the Great Adventure.
Hidden object game.
This is a hidden object game. Why is this on the list?
I don't know.
Oh
Next. We got Hello Inc. VR.
Casual action shooting, throwing. It's a VR defense game. There's like
Oh,
5,000
look at
of
that
these fucking
giant
things.
penguin.
There's
But it
big-ass
has giant penguins in it.
Yeah,
You
we
just
got-
throw. You just throw throwing stars at penguins.
This truly
these throw
changes
throwing
everything.
stars.
VR will now be a success. Next.
Definitely be checking that one out.
That
And
thing-
finally, we have Need for Drink.
Need for Drink. Casual multiplayer game about competition between the spouses, a drunkard husband and his brawler wife. What?
What?
And the
That's
ever
what I
actual
said.
shit is this thing?
A
Wait.
5-minute registration of the most famous dating website. 10 seconds waiting for the perfect match algorithm to search. A short dialogue with your perfect match. A 30-minute date after a hard work day. Some other rash decisions. Marriage. Need for Drink is a casual multiplayer game about the competition between the spouses. A drunkard husband and his brawler wife. Current
What?
features. Several different single-player and multiplayer game modes. 2 playable characters. Funny gameplay. A beautiful location. Many different types of alcohol to drink or break. Many different types of foods to munch on, lots of comedic voice lines, and a chance to meet new people.
The fuck is this thing?
What the fuck? What?
I watched the whole trailer and I'm none the wiser.
Same. I'm watching it right now, and I'm like, I don't know what.
like
I don't know what
spousal
this
abuse
is.
Simulator. Like, what the fuck is this?
But why is this in early access? What feedback could possibly be given here? My feedback is never release a video game again.
The logo looks like it had more work done to it than the actual game.
It really does.
The logo is different from the logo in the actual image for the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that
Thank
was
you,
the
Crendor.
releases. Basically,
problem.
I think our takeaway from that is play the sexy Brutale and everything else can fuck off.
We got
What?
Crendor by the releases.
What? Animated jigsaw Japanese women?
Yeah, I think we can avoid that, actually, weirdly enough. I think I can resist the temptation.
I'm gonna purchase that one right now.
You feel free.
Crendor, you need to stream that right now when you're done.
Dude,
Yeah.
they also have wild animals animated jigsaw.
I'm sure they do. Like, you just become a channel that covers nothing but that, and that'll be okay.
It's gonna be like those weird toy channels to get like 1 billion views.
But just you do jigsaw puzzles?
But yeah, I do jigsaw puzzles. Dude, I'm telling you, that's the way YouTube's going.
All jigsaw.
Well, everyone knows you can't make money on YouTube anymore because Wall Street Journal said so. So,
Yeah, that's true.
'Cause that's
It's
how it works.
dying.
Yeah.
Pretty much YouTube has been dying ever since I started.
Yeah, it's been weird that. Until it
Yeah.
was dying in 2010. It
Puppy
lasted.
dog jigsaw?
Still doing all right.
He's
Thank you for
wearing
watching a
glasses.
co-optional podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Before we go, I'd like to tell you about the things we're going to be doing over the next week or so. Jesse, what's coming up on your channel? What's going on?
Yo, man, do I have a lot of fun things coming to you. Let me tell you, they're going to be so much fun. In the meantime, I'm still working on my YouTube Red Show. So until then, just know fun things are happening. Also, have you checked out my Instagram.com/notoriouscox? Because that's what you should do. That's where you really should go. A lot of fun stuff on there. A lot of fun times. You can see some background stuff of what's going on with this show. And yeah, then I'll be back to normal eventually. But man, we in the thick of it now. So that's what I'll say. Also, more Cox and Crendors are coming to your life. So many of them.
So many, I can taste them.
You can taste it. It tastes like meatballs.
And burning and syphilis.
Ooh, no, I don't want them
Dodger,
anymore.
what's coming up on the channel this week? What's going on?
Hi guys. You know, we got the gaming news, we got the anime news, we got the anime and gaming nonsense. If that
Anime and
sounds like
gaming.
it's up to your alley.
Ganamating.
I was gonna stream after this, but I think I'm gonna focus on doing some wedding stuff that really needs to get done. So
I was going
I'll
to
see
stream
you
after
guys-
this, but I lost the will to live after being on
Yeah.
this show. So,
But now that
Crendor-
I've got
Now it's my
syphilis from
time.
Cox and Crendor,
yeah.
I
No,
figure
I
I
didn't
should
give you
attend
syphilis.
to myself. Yeah, I stream most days. I do YouTube, and you're more than welcome to join our dumb family.
Oh,
Jirard, what's coming up?
Right now you can go after this. You can go check out my Yooka-lLaylee video. Just went up. Next week is just I'm doing Pikmin, but then the long-awaited completionist Breath of the Wild is on its way. It took me almost 6 weeks to do it, so that's a thing. Other than that, you know, I'm filming Scary Game Squad with Jesse all the time. That's always a blast. And Multiplayer Mayhem. So check that out on Jesse's channel. And yeah, I'm trying to get back into doing Twitch stuff. I'm doing an Oculus Rift stream in a couple of days. I just got an Oculus, so that's gonna be crazy for me because I don't do VR. But yeah, other than that, you know, every Friday I complete a game. Come check me out. It's fun. I like
I'm
games.
sure you'll love the Oculus, but expect to encounter the wonderful evangelists. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior Vive? We're here to save you from the great Satan that is Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
We know that Facebook is putting ads directly into your brain. The wonderful Savior Vive will never do this. Cult-like fucking behavior of these people.
We just
Jesus.
need your blood.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I call them the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Uh-huh.
I like
Yep.
my vibe because they gave it to me for free.
Yeah, I didn't put a lot of effort into that.
Do I dare ask what Crendor is doing?
I mean, I
Hey.
wasn't planning on it, but it looks like we're going to
How's
have to give him the
it going?
opportunity.
I am here, and I'm gonna be streaming every night. I stream late after everyone's gone to sleep, unless Sam's streaming 12 hours, in which case he's still going, and then I'm like, God, he has all the auto hosts. But yeah,
We could
I
take him off
play-
the list.
He's actually streaming right now because he's waiting for the show to end, so he's gonna get that big bump.
Not
I
if
know
I
his
got anything to say about it.
strategies.
I'm going to host a StarCraft channel directly after this show. Fuck him and fuck you.
He even
Wow,
played
wow,
Battle
dude.
Brothers because he was like, "Oh, he said I
I
played Battle
bet,
Brothers.
yeah.
I did."
I've got no original ideas. I have. I'm riding the coattails of my superiors. That's
Who
how
would
he
do
sounds,
that?
right?
Who would do such
I
a
am.
thing? And
We love him,
yeah,
really. We're just being mean.
That's twitch.tv/Crendor. Follow my Instagram too. Crendor was taken. I was copying Sam until he stopped doing Instagram. So that's cool.
He gets bored of anything that can't make immediate money. That's just how he is. That's how those Southerners are. They're born into privilege with a silver spoon in one's mouth, and they can't get rid of it.
And then my YouTube, I've been making dumb Hearthstone gimmicks with the Ungoro stuff, so that's been fun. I also made a pointless top 10 of my pointless top 10s, so we're getting very meta. And yeah, Cox and Crendors, follow me on the Twitter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Probably not much coming out of me this week, although the temptation to make little animated shorts with this guy, I'm sorry, it's getting pretty hard to resist. But Battle Brothers probably happen, and there's a bunch of other stuff that I've been trying to play to get into a reasonable state to look at. If they finally fix the saving in Dominator, I'll do a video of that, and I'm definitely going to be looking at the sexy Brutale. And if we can get a use your words thing going over the next couple of days, I'd love to. That sounds like a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Sounds
I would
great.
be down for that.
Yeah, that would be fun. So we should do that. That's us about done. That show dragged on way too long, and now we know why we don't do 5-person shows. This is
Hey,
entirely the
I
reason.
had fun though. Did you guys have fun?
I had
Yes!
fun.
We had fun in
Yeah.
spite of ourselves.
It's not about the length,
I
it's
love-
about the
I-
fun and the
Lot of
motion
fun.
of the ocean.
Nope. All right, it's time to go.
It was all going so well. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Big thanks to our sponsor today, who probably won't return after this bullshit. Squarespace. Squarespace.com/cooptional for your free trial and 10% off your first order. Are you sick of hearing about Squarespace? Well, you're screwed, because they're now sponsoring Jesse and Dodger as well. So you're going to be hearing about Squarespace until you die.
Woo!
Just accept it.
Mm.
We got
Squarespace.
Squarespace money. You can go to hell. Thank you for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.